Chapter 1801, I have already taken your life. Chapter 1801 I have already taken your life. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan suddenly turned to offense, catching the 3-1 clan immortals off guard. Damn it! Wan Xiao gritted his teeth and shouted, quickly save Wan Hao Guang, his armor is a killer move, it won't last much longer. Wan Lianghan felt a chill rush through his whole body. Fang Yuan had been on the defensive for this whole time. Now that he moved, he directly targeted the 3-1 clan immortals' vital weaknesses. This ruthlessness and incisiveness made Wan Lianghan feel regret for the first time. We should have investigated properly. One clan has provoked such a person, who knows if it leads to a blessing or a disaster. The Soul Beast army rushed like a flood and drowned the 3-1 clan immortals. The 4 immemorial soul beasts formed the central army and were like mountains as they moved towards Wan Xiao with an unstoppable might. Wan Xiao, retreat. Wan Lianghan sensed Fang Yuan's sinister killing intent and quickly warned. Wan Xiao was anxious, I need to save Hao Guang. He is trapped, he has already cancelled his light armor killer move and is now using only light armor immortal Gu. One clan's 3 immortals were affected by distracting thoughts generation. They could not use any killer moves as it was very likely for them to fail and inflict backlash on themselves without dealing any damage to the enemy. Wan Hao Guang realized this and took the initiative to cancel the killer move light armor, directly activating light armor immortal Gu instead. This immortal Gu was the core of the light armor killer move, but it was only a rank 7 immortal Gu. Its defense was far below the previous light armor killer move. Thus, Wan Hao Guang was already in a greatly precarious situation in just a short period of time. Wan Xiao and him had a deep friendship. Wan Xiao was trying to save him in such a dangerous situation. Damn it! At the critical moment, Wan Lianghan could only cooperate with Wan Xiao and activated a Wisdom Path Immortal Gu, Wisdom Obstacle. Wisdom Obstacle Immortal Gu created obstacles around Wan Xiao and Wan Lianghan, protecting the two and giving them a huge assistance. Wan Xiao and Wan Hao Guang displayed solid battle foundation during this perilous moment. The two finally reunited amidst the Soul Beast flood. Good. With the two's combined might and my cooperation, we have a hope of breaking out. Wan Lianghan showed a trace of joy when he heard a sneer behind him. Are you not considering your own situation? Such a self-sacrificial spirit. Fang Yuan had actually appeared behind him. At this moment, Wan Lianghan felt like he had fallen into an icy abyss. Before his death, he finally realized that everything was a part of Xuan Bujin's sinister plan. He intentionally imposed pressure and showed killing intent towards Wan Xiao and Wan Lianghan, but his true target had been Wan Lianghan. Those 4 immemorial soul beasts were still far away while Xuan Bujin had come beside Wan Lianghan by himself. Those 4 immemorial soul beasts were treated as just a bait. These 4 had rank 8 battle strength. Who could have thought Xuan Bujin would not use them? Since the start, he had stayed under the protection of these 4 immemorial soul beasts, constantly giving hidden signs to Wan clan's 3 immortals, making them gradually develop some kind of cognitive bias. Wan Lianghan might be able to see through this trap in his normal state, but he was also struck by the killer move distracting thoughts generation. He had been suppressing the distracting thoughts in his mind while also paying attention to the safety of Wan Hao Guang and Wan Xiao. He was unable to take notice of anything more. Xuan Bujin was never a person who feared death. He can even take the risk at the crucial times. The previous scenes were all just an act. Thoughts exploded in Wan Lianghan's mind and he wanted to counterattack, disregarding all else, to exchange for a hope of survival. But it was too late. How could Fang Yuan give him the chance to struggle before his death? Immortal killer move, Wisdom Grasp. Fang Yuan lightly pushed his palm, a great thief ghost hand flew out and entered Wan Lianghan's body. Then, the great thief ghost hand flew back with its fist clenched as if holding onto something. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, I have already taken your life. Wan Lianghan's eyes were wide open, he was already dead. Brother Lianghan. Wan Xiao and Wan Hao Guang shouted in shock, grief and anger. Wan Xiao stared furiously while Wan Hao Guang's expression was also furious with tears flowing down his face. It was not easy to raise a Wisdom Path Gu immortal. Wan Lianghan's death was a heavy loss to Wan clan. Fang Yuan had already achieved half his target by killing Wan Lianghan. The other half would depend on the subsequent actions of these two Wan clan Gu immortals. Right now, Fang Yuan did not really care about the profits he could gain from killing two rank 7 Gu immortals. He was going after the entire Western Desert Gu immortal world after all. He activated transformation path methods to weaken his aura. This guy has suddenly become weak. So he was not that strong. Maybe, the killer move he used to kill brother Liang Han has huge repercussions. Wan Xiao and Wan Haoguang pleasantly found Fang Yuan's aura had weakened, his soul beast army was also spread everywhere, no longer united like before. But shortly afterwards, Fang Yuan took Wan Lianghan's corpse and hid behind the protection of the 4 immemorial soul beasts. Wan Xiao and Wan Haoguang clenched their teeth in hatred, but realized that they were unable to kill Fang Yuan. If they continued to drag this, they might also die here. Thereupon, they removed the immortal battlefield and chose to retreat. Wan Xiao was heavily injured by Fang Yuan during this time and fell unconscious. Wan Haoguang tightly held on to Wan Xiao and ran off rapidly. Fang Yuan controlled the soul beast army and acted like he was going to give chase. He then looked at Wan Haoguang in satisfaction as he disappeared in the cloud layer. I should also leave. Fang Yuan did not stay behind. He looked towards the direction of Wan clan's headquarters and smiled lightly as he disappeared after putting away the soul beast army. When Fang clan's first supreme elder Fang Gong rushed to the place, he looked dazedly at the empty desert. There were only traces left behind that proved there had been a huge battle previously. Fang Gong's expression was somewhat unsightly as he thought, this Swan Bujin. It seems I am late by a bit, the enemies won. While he was thinking, there was a commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan used the same trick, using Swan Bujin's identity to publicize this battle. Gu immortals discussed heatedly. The Western Desert Gu immortal world was even more shaken now. What kind of person is this Swan Bujin? He actually has the protection of 4 immemorial soul beasts, and his wisdom path methods are so sinister. No wonder Fang clan recruited him. Western Desert's righteous path has another peak rank 7 expert. The Great Era is truly coming, not only with the frequent occurrences of earth trenches, but all kinds of monstrous characters are also appearing. Fang Gong only realized this change in Treasure Yellow Heaven after he received Fang Dichang's message. Fang Gong let out a sigh of relief but was slightly puzzled, so the victor was Swan Bujin. But why has he not returned yet? Fang Dichang laughed. He is a lone immortal after all and joined our clan only recently. Now, he killed Wan Lianghan who was a Western Desert Righteous Path Gu immortal and a member of a superforce. Adding on our Fang clan situation, he is worried our Fang clan will give him up to protect ourselves. So he is staying outside and took the initiative to publicize the battle. Fang Gong immediately understood from this explanation, you wisdom path Gu immortals simply like to overthink situations. Swan Bujin is putting pressure on my Fang clan by doing this, but his worries are not wrong. Wan Lianghan was killed by him, our Fang clan and Wan clan's relationship is now almost completely broken. Sigh, the newly stabilized situation has crumbled apart, Fang clan's situation has become much more difficult. What do you think we should choose? Give Swan Bujin up to maintain the relationship with Wan clan? Or give up on Wan clan and protect Swan Bujin? Right now, it is clear to me that Swan Bujin does not truly want to join our Fang clan, he is only cooperating with us for his own gains. However, Wan clan is also nothing good, they triggered a loss of their own initiative this time, they will definitely retaliate even more fiercely later on. Fang Dichang said heavily, I think it is more beneficial to protect Swan Bujin. Swan Bujin is prideful, it is normal for him to not feel united with us. He has sufficient strength to support his arrogance. Just those 4 immemorial soul beasts already surpass our imagination. He also revealed 2 wisdom path killer moves in this battle, both are sinister and dangerous, if the enemy is even a little careless, they will fall to his vicious methods. This time, it was Wan clan who found trouble with our side first. If we show weakness, other forces will believe we don't have any strength and they will want to cause trouble. The result we achieved from using the theft path killer move will also disappear because of this. At such a critical time, my Fang clan should preserve our strong momentum and protect Xuan Bujin. Xuan Bujin might not be united with us, but he is a qualified ally. We have the history of a successful cooperation and the foundation for cooperation. Our clan even owes him remuneration which can allow us to use him further. What the other righteous path forces don't hope to see is him reinforcing our clan. Fang Dichang was indeed a wisdom path great grandmaster. His analysis immediately made Fang Gong see the situation clearly. Fang Gong nodded, saying with a heavy voice, "You are correct. Protecting Xuan Bujin is indeed much more beneficial than easing the situation with one clan. But if we do this, one clan will definitely retaliate heavily and our Fang clan will face an even greater suppression." Fang Dichang sighed helplessly, "There is nothing we can do about this. Divine Bean Palace's information has been leaked. Didn't we already predict such a situation? The current plan is still to quickly refine Divine Bean Palace. Our Fang clan can completely resolve this crisis with this immortal Gu house." Green Ghost Desert. An immemorial soul beast was completely defenseless against Fang Yuan's attacks. After a while, it lowered its head. It was forcibly subdued by Fang Yuan. Xianxia was standing beside Fang Yuan. In this recent period of time, it was thanks to him taking charge of this place that there was a continuous supply of soul beasts. After defeating Yuan clan's 3 immortals, Fang Yuan did not return to Fang clan, instead he directly came here to help Xianxia. Xianxia was in the process of taking in soul beasts when he encountered problematic immemorial soul beasts that he could not deal with. Fang Yuan arrived to help him clear the obstacles. "Alright, let's go to the next area." Fang Yuan was speaking when his expression changed slightly. Fang clan had sent a message. "Lord Sect Leader, what is Fang clan's response?" Xianxia was alert and asked with concern. Fang clan's response would also concern the progress in Green Ghost Desert. "Everything is going as I planned." Fang Yuan smiled. He looked towards the direction of Fang clan's headquarters with a deep gaze. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1802, Fang Clan, S Supper. Chapter 1802 Fang Clan, S Supper. One Clan Headquarters. "Father. You died a pitiful death." Weeping sounds echoed in the discussion hall, reverberating in the ears of the Gu immortals present in the hall. A young man, wearing mourning clothes, was crying. This person was Wan Jueqing, a rank 6 Gu immortal who was Wan Lianghan's son. Wan Jueqing was kneeling on the ground and bawling. No one was able to persuade him to stop. The Wan clan Gu immortals in the hall had frowns on their faces, they were silent and their expressions were dark. Wan clan's second supreme elder had an amiable personality. He said with a sigh, "The situation actually ended up like this. We sent 3 rank 7 experts but they all lost. This is unbelievable." Wan clan's immortals all had deep feelings regarding this. If not for Fang Yuan revealing the whole battle in Treasure Yellow Heaven, these Wan clan immortals might only be able to accept the result after some hesitation. In fact, Wan Lianghan had set off only after he had received approval from most of the Wan clan immortals. 3 Gu immortals of the same rank as well as an immortal battlefield, the situation should have been in their grasp, but who could have imagined they would encounter such a tough enemy? The silent first supreme elder finally spoke. "Xuan Bujin killed our clan's Gu immortal, we cannot forgive him. Wan Jueqing, did your father leave you his inheritance?" Wan Jueqing did not dare to act recklessly towards first supreme elder's inquiry. He held back his tears and said, "Father taught me everything about his inheritance, killer moves, and Gu recipes. But, there is not even one immortal Gu left behind." First Supreme Elder's expression sank further. This situation was not normal. Xuan Bujin was a rank 7, Wan Lianghan was also the same, but the former could kill the latter instantly without the latter being able to retaliate. Normally speaking, there were rarely such direct results when Gu immortals of the same rank fought. Usually, life and death battles would fall into a deadlock. during such times, if one side wanted to leave and was not trapped in any immortal battlefield, the other side would hardly be able to stop them. An immortal battlefield's value was that it did not allow enemies to escape freely. One clan's 3 immortals brought out the immortal battlefield to make sure Fang Yuan could not escape. But they did not expect Fang Yuan to not even try to escape. Instead, the immortal battlefield became useless and he killed one young Han while fighting off the other 2 Wan Clan Gu immortals. This was truly an ironic result to Wan Clan. Wan Clan's first Supreme Elder felt regret now. If he had known this would happen, he would have lent his immortal Gu house to Wan Young Han. But he had his own difficulties. He was only a rank 7 and not like the rank 8 leaders of other righteous path forces. Because of this, the immortal Gu house was required to guard their headquarters. He, however, did not know his arrangement was actually rational and correct. Were Fang Yuan to see the immortal Gu house, he would definitely plunder it. Thus, the first Supreme Elder's arrangement reduced one clan's losses instead. First Supreme Elder sighed in his head before saying to Wan Zhuiqing, Wan Liang Han's death was a mistake on our part. Wan Liang Han will be honored and any Gu materials required to refine his immortal Gu will be provided for free from the clan's treasury. I just hope these immortal Gu were destroyed. Thank you, First Supreme Elder. Thank you, esteemed elders. Wan Zhuiqing kowtowed multiple times towards the First Supreme Elder and the other Wan Clan Gu immortals. This was what he hoped to achieve by crying in the first place. He succeeded now. He was the youngest here, so kowtowing was not inappropriate. First Supreme Elder continued, but with a gloomy and chilling voice, Swan Bujin is Fang Clan's member, we will pressure Fang Clan to hand him over. From this battle, we can be certain Swan Bujin is definitely Old Man Lai Shen's inheritor. This is a demonic path scoundrel. The bloody debt that Old Man Lai Shen owes us will be paid by him. Many Wan Clan Gu immortals' eyes shined brightly. They could only do this. Back then, Old Man Lai Shen had been the pain of many Western Desert Righteous Path forces. Placing this crime on Fang Yuan was to give the Western Desert Righteous Path forces an excuse to go against Fang Clan. Earlier, this had only been an excuse. Wan Clan wanted to capture Swan Bujin so that Fang Clan would have no way to extricate themselves. The plan did not work, but Wan Clan's first Supreme Elder still insisted on it as the truth. Lack of evidence. I will create evidence myself. Although it was shameless, every super force wanted to deal with Fang Clan, and this plan would make use of their worry regarding Fang Clan's rise. It was just that the success rate of this plan was not as high as the previous plan. Wan Clan's Gu immortal died in a battle and it was even publicized. They could not let this go. Wan Clan had no option but to continue with this excuse. Second Supreme Elder heaved a deep sigh. The situation might not be that bad. Fang Clan might have already decided to give up on Swan Bujin. Even if they give him up, Fang Clan won't be able to escape the crime of sheltering a demonic path Gu immortal. However, bad news arrived in Wan Clan the next day. Fang Clan declared their stand. They were going to protect Fang Yuan and prove Fang Yuan's true origin was related to Xianxia. Wan Clan immediately objected and brought out all kinds of evidence. Fang Dichang did not even bother to deduce the flaws in these evidences, instead he tossed out even more undeniable evidence. Laughable. You can forge evidence, can I not do the same? Western Desert's 2 super forces argued intensely over the claims that Swan Bujin was Xianxia's inheritor or Old Man Lai Shen's inheritor. One side said they had proof. The other side said theirs were more reliable. One side threw out a piece of evidence, while the other side threw out 2. But the main person who was being thrown in the whirlpool of politics, Fang Yuan, was leisurely subduing immemorial soul beasts in Green Ghost Desert with a content spirit. Naturally, he kept his attention on the progress of the situation. It was actually quite amusing. Fang Yuan himself was not anxious at all. He did not bring out any evidence to prove himself, but Fang Clan and Wan Clan, however, were extremely agitated, bringing out any evidence they could find, or forging some if they could not. The 2 super forces vied with each other in testifying for and against a demon. even airing extreme confidence in their own claims. Were they to truly know Fang Yuan's identity, who knew how their mentality would change? Fang clan would definitely feel like they had fallen into the icy depths, but one clan would also be scared. This was the demon Fang Yuan. Even Heavenly Court as well as the whole of Southern Border's righteous path were helpless against him. Over these days, Fang Yuan had not only subdued several immemorial soul beasts, he also took out time to absorb Wan Liang Han's wisdom path inheritance. Wan Liang Han was instantly killed by Fang Yuan. The difference in their strength was so great that he simply did not have the time to destroy his immortal Gu. Fang Yuan obtained 3 immortal Gu from him, 2 rank 6 and 1 rank 7. The rank 7 wisdom path immortal Gu was called Wisdom Obstacle. Wisdom Obstacle immortal Gu had the shape of a snail, it was dark and occasionally shined with a trace of purple light, it looked quite silly. Fang Yuan had already seen the power of this immortal Gu. Activating this Wisdom Obstacle immortal Gu could instantly form obstacles in a large range around the Gu immortal. It consumed immortal essence as well as a large amount of will. There were also a lot of killer moves with Wisdom Obstacle immortal Gu as the core. One killer move was quite outstanding that even Fang Yuan was surprised. This killer move directly sent the obstacles created by the Wisdom Obstacle immortal Gu into the enemy's mind. With the giant obstacles, the thoughts in the enemy's mind would have trouble colliding with each other and thus would make it difficult for them to think. Usually, when this move succeeds, it would immediately make the enemy turn stupid, they would feel like there was a boulder in their mind, unable to solve any problems. This move was outstanding, but it had to first touch the enemy and pierce into the enemy's brain. So there were several other killer moves that were specially targeted towards the brain. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan was well versed in Wisdom Path and had many methods protecting his mind. Wan Liang Han's killer moves had almost no hope in getting past these hurdles. Moreover, he was struck by Fang Yuan's distracting thoughts generation and lost the initiative. He clearly had killer moves but could not use them and lost most of his ability. Thinking back about the battle, Fang Yuan was very satisfied. He had put his 2 killer moves to test in actual battle and their effects were excellent. One was distracting thoughts generation, it was a Wisdom Path killer move that also had the essence of Soul Path. When activating the killer move, Fang Yuan could hide its aura by relying on the 4 immemorial soul beasts. It would be problematic if the killer move's aura was exposed and the enemy sensed it. This was because distracting thoughts generation required a certain amount of time before its strength could accumulate to a decent level. The other move was Wisdom Grasp, it was a Wisdom Path killer move which Fang Yuan deduced after referencing Great Thief Ghost Hand and the Steel Life True Inheritance. Great Thief Ghost Hand stole immortal Gu while Wisdom Grasp stole lives, instantly killing enemies. This move was only rank 7 so it had very poor effect against rank 8 Gu immortals, but was perfect for an opponent like Wan Liang Han. Fang Yuan had added some transformation path Gu worms into Wisdom Grasp to disguise it as Great Thief Ghost Hand. In the Battle of Divine Beam Palace, Fang Yuan had displayed Great Thief Ghost Hand in front of Fang Gong, he also subdued immemorial soul beasts under the cooperation of Fang Dichang. So the methods Fang Yuan revealed did not stun Fang clan, they instead highlighted his value. At the same time, he also cleverly exposed his weakness. Fang Yuan clearly had methods to directly manipulate soul beasts but he did not use any in the fight. Therefore, Fang clan had a misconception that they still had Swan Bujin in their grasp. Trying their best to protect him was a natural thing. From a simple perspective, this battle was only a battle between Fang Yuan and 3-1 clan immortals. But in truth, it was Fang Yuan who manipulated the present situation and intensified the conflicts between the two sides, he was influencing the 2 super forces Fang clan and Wan clan, while also controlling the situation of the entire western desert. Fang Yuan's true goal was after the battle. By implementing this plan, his future gains would be beyond imagination. These immortal Gu-like wisdom obstacle were just appetizers before the banquet. Unconsciously, at this point, Fang Yuan no longer emphasized on trifling gains or losses. Physically in the situation, rampaging everywhere unhindered. Mentally in the situation, ambitions soaring above the horizons. Unconsciously, I have already reached this level. Those heroes and conquerors who ruled their eras, were they also like this? Heh. Fang Yuan collected his thoughts. Green Ghost Desert looked even more dark and gloomy at night. Dark clouds filled the sky, not letting even a trace of starlight pass. Fang Yuan was sitting on the head of a ferocious immemorial soul beast, and beside him were uncountable soul beasts. Under Fang Yuan's control, the large army silently charged forward towards the boundless darkness. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1803, Dragonman Clone. Chapter 1803, Dragonman Clone. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Red Heaven. A large formation was making loud noises. Variant human Gu immortals were fully prepared for combat with Bai Ningbing at their lead. Whoosh! There was the sound of enormous tidal waves, and an immemorial year beast rushed out of the formation that was shining in silver light. This is an immemorial year pig. Lady White Rabbit shouted excitedly. Great, the year essence pool lacks this species of year beast. Fairy Miao Yin also added spiritedly. There was nothing to say, the battle started immediately. The immortals controlled myriad year flying warship and battled the immemorial year pig. The immemorial year pig had a sturdy body, but myriad year flying warship was also incomparably firm. Both sides were evenly matched. The battle caused a storm just from its aftermath. If it were an ordinary immortal aperture, the Gu immortal would definitely suffer heavy losses. But Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was too vast. He had devoured the lifetime accumulations of many Gu immortals, but even then, his sovereign immortal aperture was only 17 to 18% developed. This mini red heaven was specially left empty by Fang Yuan, reserved as a battlefield. Currently, the mini 5 region's development was flourishing. 7 of the mini 9 heavens also had some resources. Mini red heaven was completely empty, dream realms were stored in mini green heaven, and mini yellow heaven only had a small segment of a gold fragment current. The mini 5 region still had a lot of unoccupied land. It could be estimated that the mini 9 heavens would remain barren for a long period of time. Normally speaking, when a Gu immortal advances to rank 8 and gains a grotto heaven, they would actively develop the sky because there would be no free space left on the land. But Fang Yuan was a special case and could not be assessed by common sense. The battle of the rank 8 immortal Gu house and the immemorial desolate beast lasted for a few days before the latter lost and gave in. Fang Yuan's main body was sweeping through Green Ghost Desert, while inside his immortal aperture, his subordinates were using myriad year flying warship to subdue immemorial year beasts. On one hand, Fang Yuan was intentionally making these rank 7 Gu immortals get familiar with myriad year flying warship so that they could participate in battles of rank 8s in the future. On the other hand, Fang Yuan was using the immemorial year beast fishing formation to attract immemorial year beasts in an attempt to complete his 12 zodiac battle formation. Fang Yuan had started on the plan of 12 zodiac battle formation in his previous life. This was an ancient battle formation. Gathering 12 different species of immemorial year beasts and using them as cores for the formation. 12 zodiac battle formation was specialized in offense, and it could move freely after the formation was complete. During inactive times, these immemorial year beasts could be sealed, becoming like statues, unmoving and not requiring food. But during battle, the seal would be released, they would make up the battle formation and attack the enemy. There were many advantages of this formation. One was it saved a lot on food expenditure. In his previous life, Fang Yuan saw this point and had intended to use this method to ease the pressure on his immortal aperture management. But in this life, Fang Yuan was very affluent, saving the food expenditure became secondary, and what Fang Yuan prioritized now was the strong offensive prowess of this formation. Only immemorial year beasts were qualified to be the cores of the 12 zodiac battle formation. Fang Yuan would be unable to construct the 12 zodiac battle formation if he used ancient year beasts or desolate level year beasts. This showed that the 12 zodiac battle formation could definitely suppress the methods of ordinary rank 8 Gu immortals. However, it was not as easy as it seemed to gather 12 different species of immemorial year beast. It depended not only on strength but also luck. In his previous life, Fang Yuan did not have the time and energy to spare on this, and his luck was also bad, so he was not able to gather the complete battle formation even by the time of the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention. The River of Time had a lot of year beasts, but the species of these year beasts were not allocated evenly. Instead, a certain species of year beasts would have a huge increase in its population during a certain period of time. Fang Yuan also was not completely sure if he could gather them all in this life. But in this life, the manpower, resources, time, and energy put into this project along with the increase in his luck was much more than his previous life. This was a fact. Time continued to pass. Southern Border's righteous path was being extorted by Fang Yuan. Many secretly thought of ways to deal with Fang Yuan but were afraid of alerting him. Western Desert's righteous path forces were confronting each other. Fang clan and Yuan clan's argument was continuing without an end. The other righteous path forces were restraining themselves, but hidden undercurrents were surging. In Northern Plains, Longevity Heaven was trying hard to unite the whole Northern Plains Gu immortal world, but there was little progress. In the previous life, Longevity Heaven took in Langya blessed sect, which made the Northern Plains Gu immortals realize their sincerity, greatly reducing the hostile intentions. But in this life, Langya blessed land was already completely taken by Fang Yuan. In Eastern Sea, it was tranquil as always. There were some disturbances occasionally, but they were nothing major. The most sensational issue would be the matter of ascending Heaven Plane, but this matter was already settled. In Central Continent, because of the defeat in Langya blessed land, Heavenly Court was recuperating. Fairy Ziwei wanted to find trouble with Fang Yuan, but she was helpless because Fang Yuan was wholeheartedly cultivating in seclusion. Even if he took action, he would do it in disguise, making it hard for others to distinguish reality from rumors. The Gu immortal world of the 5 regions entered a temporary peaceful period. Fang Yuan did not waste even a second of his time. He used this rare peaceful period to constantly process his gains and strengthen himself. Time Cutting Edge was one step closer to perfection. He could already use all 5 colored lights of 5 restriction profound light chi at the same time after this period of painstaking training, but he was still some distance left from becoming completely proficient. The progress of his soul path cultivation was also highly satisfactory. Fang Yuan's soul had already passed 10 million man soul level, reaching 100 million man soul. This was the limit of a human. Before Spectral Soul Demon Venerable appeared, in the long and endless history of humanity, even if there were shocking talents and geniuses, they could not progress beyond 100 million man soul. Man was the spirit of all living beings. Humans had the strongest intelligence, but when their strength was compared, the sharpness of their nails, and the robustness of their souls, they were far inferior to other beings. However, cultivation itself was a process of breaking one's limits. Gu Master could possess strength to suppress fierce beasts by using Gu worms, grow nails sharper than those of fierce beasts, and naturally, have the foundation to possess even more robust souls. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was the first to innovate this method of breaking through the limits. Fang Yuan naturally had a grasp of this method after inheriting Shadow Sect's true inheritance. Cultivating beyond the limit of a human soul was Desolate Soul. Although 100 million man soul was already condensed to the limit and could interfere with the real world, it was still fragile. But when the soul reached Desolate Soul level, there would be an earth-shaking change in its battle strength. Fang Yuan would be able to match most desolate beasts with just his soul. The one who had reached the peak in this was Spectral Soul. In the Battle of Tian Mountain, he had used just his soul to fight against the heavenly and human calamities. His awe-inspiring demonic might had left an extremely deep impression on Fang Yuan, making him feel desire towards reaching this level. But I still have things to do before I break through to Desolate Soul. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Fang Yuan's split soul was put inside the long hair refinement path formation. The formation began to work, its light dyed all the surroundings bright red like blazing fire. After the experience of failing several times before, Fang Yuan's movements were smooth. Concentrate, we are going to add the main immortal material next. Fang Yuan commanded. Xianxia Land Spirit, who was helping as an assistant, nodded immediately, helping Fang Yuan control the formation. The space inside the formation formed into partitioned secret rooms that were specially meant to store immortal materials. At this moment, one secret room opened and the immortal material inside immediately entered the formation. This immortal material was called Prospering Spring Light. It was a rank 8 immortal material. Although it was a light path immortal material, it was condensed in the form of a flower. The flower bloomed open, its pure white petals were adorned with bright red specks along with blotches of bright green. The flower was lifelike and delicate, and was bursting with vitality. The moment the prospering spring light entered the fire, it melted into pure white light that poured over Fang Yuan's split soul. The light fully covered the soul. The fire continued to burn the soul. Gu materials were thrown in one after the other. At the same time, several immortal Gu outside the formation were ceaselessly activated. Hairy Man Gu immortals were assisting with all their strength, some were dealing with the immortal materials, some were controlling the fire, and some were inspecting the wastage. This was a group Gu refinement. The expenditure was much higher than refining Gu alone, but the difficulty of the Gu refinement was also lower. In the previous life, Fang Yuan was alone and did not have this treatment. In this life, he annexed Xianxia sect. The refinement path capability he grasped had already surpassed Heavenly Court. How many refinement path Gu immortals could Heavenly Court awaken? Even if there were refinement path great experts hibernating in the immortal graveyard, there would be very few who might possess refinement path quasi-supreme grandmaster attainment level. Naturally, Heavenly Court's treasuries were extremely rich. They far surpassed Fang Yuan in this aspect. Even though Fang Yuan had swallowed the lifetime accumulations of so many Gu immortals, he could not hold a candle to Heavenly Court. The refinement was going well. Fang Yuan's spirits rose as he shouted, "Next is False Pearl." False Pearl was not a pearl but a transformation path immortal material that could transform into any gem. It was also a rank 8 material like Prospering Spring Light, and was this refinement's main material. The false pearl quickly integrated into the fire. Fang Yuan called out, "Bai Ning Bing." Bai Ning Bing nodded. She was already standing in a formation core. She lightly swung her arm, blood flew out of the injury on her hand. The blood entered the raging fire. The crimson fire immediately turned into a bewitching blood-red color. Moreover, dense blood chi spread into the surroundings. Sixth Hair immediately gathered this blood chi and constantly removed it. If this was not done, this blood chi could heavily interfere with the next process of refinement. The blood fire reduced in size the more it burned, and soon it shrunk to the size of a fist. Fang Yuan took a deep breath. The other Gu immortals also had solemn expressions. Next was a crucial step. Release the raging wave rising dragon fire. Fang Yuan sent the command. The raging wave rising dragon fire could act on its own. The moment it was released, it sought to fly away from the formation, but how was it possible? The long hair refinement path formation firmly blocked it and forced it to collide with the blood fire. The two fires were quite distinct from each other, but they soon merged with each other, forming a large lump of colorful fire. The mixed fire similarly reduced in size the more it burned while also emitting dense suffocating smoke. The smoke settled down and covered the fire, forming a pitch-black sphere. From outside, one could vaguely see the bright fire in the center of the smoke sphere. Boom! The smoke sphere lasted for about an hour when it suddenly exploded. Countless gusts of smoke flew around chaotically like dragons. Air waves surged and people could hear a sound like that of a dragon roar. A Dragon Man Gu master walked out of the smoke and revealed himself. He was muscular and handsome. He had a tall nose bridge and firm lips. He looked like a peerless hero. He had golden dragon scales on his body. He had a pair of dragon eyes like topaz. There was also a pair of golden coral like dragon horns on his head. Seeing him, Xianxia Land Spirit laughing loudly, "Success, we succeeded." Indeed, this young rank 1 Gu master was Fang Yuan's Dragonman clone. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1804, Breaking Through to Desolate Soul. Chapter 1804, Breaking Through to Desolate Soul. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. The soul path formation was already arranged properly. This formation was floating in the air, with a radius of about 3 li. The formation was letting out a dark and gloomy radiance. It looked like a huge pancake with thick sides and a thin center. Eerie wind blew up everywhere in the formation, sharply lowering the temperature inside, but everything was normal outside the formation. Fang Yuan inspected the formation several times with his divine sense before feeling satisfied. This formation is modified from a soul path killer move. It is much more stable than the killer move and it can be controlled much more smoothly and exquisitely. This was a unique soul cultivation technique recorded in Shadow Sect True Inheritance. It allowed the human soul to break through the limit and reach the desolate soul level. On the basis of this soul cultivation killer move and his formation path attainment, Fang Yuan improved and perfected it. Everything was ready. Fang Yuan sent his 100 million man soul into the formation. A desolate beast soul core was being grasped by Fang Yuan's soul, and when the soul reached the center of the formation, it crushed the soul core. The soul core was already processed beforehand and was further weakened sharply by the formation. The soul core shattered and turned into fog that floated out. The formation operated rapidly, making the fog shroud Fang Yuan's 100 million man soul completely. For the next several hours, this fog continued to thin before completely disappearing. Fang Yuan's 100 million man soul was still in its original shape, the same as his sovereign immortal body's appearance, solid and lifelike. The feelings Fang Yuan had inside it, however, was greatly different from before. So this is desolate soul. Fang Yuan's soul looked at his hands. He could clearly sense that although there was not much change in his shape, a vast strength was surging on the inside. This strength could not even be imagined by his previous state. 100 million man soul could interfere with the real world but would be in danger even if it was attacked by ordinary wild beasts. But the desolate soul's strength was like heaven and earth compared to 100 million man soul. Let's test it in real battle. Fang Yuan's soul flew out of the formation excitedly. Fang Yuan had already made preparations. A desolate beast was confined not far away. The desolate beast had just obtained its freedom when it saw the bluish-black soul that had the physique of an adult fly towards it. It roared ferociously and opened its mouth as it charged at Fang Yuan's soul. Fang Yuan's soul suddenly flew up at the last moment, avoiding the desolate beast's bite and flying to its head. He then raised his right leg and swung it down like an axe. Boom! A loud sound resounded as the hill-sized desolate beast was knocked down, heavily injured. Again. Fang Yuan's soul chased after it, punching and kicking. The desolate beast lacked intelligence and adding on its large size, it could only take the beatings passively while Fang Yuan dodged its attacks. The desolate soul's attacks hit all its targets. After taking the beating for a while, this desolate beast whimpered and fled, losing its will to fight. Fang Yuan's soul did not give chase. He would arrange for people to catch it afterwards. A light excitement lingered in the thoughts of Fang Yuan's soul. I really possess the strength of a desolate beast. Adding on my combat techniques, ordinary desolate beasts are not my match in a one-on-one battle. However, my human soul could float, but after breaking through to desolate soul, I am unable to fly and have to rely on goo worms. Fang Yuan's soul could fly around in the battle because the soul contained various immortal goo as well as immortal essence. Some soul beasts could fly but some could not. In the records of Shadow Sect's True Inheritance, when a human soul broke through to desolate soul, it could not fly. Because humans were innately unable to fly. A featherman's soul was different, it could fly, but feathermen were not pure humans. Even spectral soul who had reached the peak of soul cultivation could not fly and had to stand on the ground in the Battle of Etion Mountain. The number of soul path Dao marks on the soul has increased sharply, it actually broke through 10,000 Dao marks. Previously, Fang Yuan's soul had few soul path Dao marks even though it was cultivated to 100 million man soul. This was because Fang Yuan had used the two sacred lands of soul cultivation, Dang Han Mountain and Luo Pa Valley. If he had used other soul cultivation methods, he would have to increase the Dao marks on his soul to accumulate the same level of foundation. The physical body was a carrier of Dao marks, the soul was also the same. It was not only soul path that could add Dao marks on the soul, other paths could also do it. Like time path. Southern Border Rank 8 Gu Immortal Xianxia had arranged a defensive method on her soul. Her soul was covered in a web formed from time path Dao marks. This layer of defense had caused many difficulties for Fang Yuan when he soul searched her in the previous life. Breaking through the limit and forming a desolate soul, Fang Yuan could now continue cultivating his soul. The journey would be much longer and broader than human soul cultivation. 10 desolate soul, 100 desolate soul, 1,000 desolate soul, 10,000 desolate soul. Fang Yuan's desolate soul started cultivating. The time path clone was focused on deductions, while Fang Yuan's main body continued to research on the Dragon Man clone. Despite this clone being created by himself, it still had research value. The Dragon Man clone's soul originally had the appearance of Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body, and had 30 million man soul foundation. At present, however, its appearance had changed greatly. It looked the same as the Dragonman's body, with dragon tail, horns, scales, and vertical dragon pupils. Moreover, the soul path Dao marks on the soul were already reduced to single digits and the soul foundation was only at a few dozen man soul. This was the result of Fang Yuan's refinement and it was also what he wanted to achieve. The split souls all possessed human souls. When entering a Dragon Man body, it could only be possessed by the human soul and the entity could not be considered a Dragon Man completely. Fang Yuan created the Dragon Man clone to strive for the immortal Gu House Dragon Palace. Be they transformation path killer moves or soul possession, they could not give such assurance like the clone. After painstaking refinement, Fang Yuan refined the Dragon Man body with a matching Dragon Man soul. Only like this could it be considered a complete Dragon Man. Fang Yuan's pure dream clone was only a half-finished product. The pure dream clone's physical body did not have any issues but its soul was Fang Yuan's human soul. Although the pure dream clone was a human, it did not match Fang Yuan's split soul. A long period of adaptation was required and some soul path methods would have to be used before Fang Yuan's split soul could completely turn into the appearance of its physical body, only then could they truly match each other. In fact, when Fang Yuan had just obtained the sovereign immortal body, it did not match his soul. After a long period of cultivation and using soul path methods to adjust his soul, he reached his current perfectly matching state. Dragon men were variant humans, there was naturally unique points about their physical bodies. Rock men had abundant earth path Dao marks, snow men were proficient in ice and snow path, hairy men possessed refinement path Dao marks, mermen were water path, and dragon men possessed enslavement path Dao marks from birth. Dragon men had an incomparable talent in enslavement path, they were natural kings who could rule over other lifeforms much more easily than other races. The influence of the enslavement path Dao marks brings an enormous benefit in not only the external matters but also to the internal structure of dragon men. According to Fang Yuan's deductions, with the enslavement path Dao marks, the dragon man societal structure would be much tighter than other races. This tightness was not because of external causes but was innate to dragon men. In Fang Yuan's point of view, the influence brought by enslavement path Dao marks to the internal structure was much more significant to the dragon men than its external influence. The dragon men would be united unlike other races, especially like the internal fighting and internal friction of humanity. As for enslavement path, it was specialized in battles of attrition. The cost of cultivating enslavement path was high, but if it was accomplished to a certain level, one could fight many by themselves, winning against stronger enemies. Some paths had high individual battle strength like blood path, metal path, sword path, and so on. But only few paths possessed the special characteristics of fighting one as many, in order to win against stronger enemies. For instance, there was formation path. When Fang Yuan was immortal and fought in the imperial court contest, he used enslavement path methods. And he had used formation path methods to capture southern border immortals not long ago. Fang Yuan suddenly realized one point: no wonder, in the previous life, Dragon Palace could enslave Di Zongsheng. This immortal Gu house should be an enslavement path immortal Gu house. Fang Yuan was not too clear about the inner details regarding Dragon Palace. Even now, he did not understand how Bai Ningbing suddenly became the owner of Dragon Palace. But it did not matter. Even if the Dragon Man clone is of no use, I still have a living Bai Ningbing. The Dragon Man clone only had rank 1 Gu Master Cultivation. The next step was to raise it to Gu Immortal level. Its path was most likely going to be enslavement path. Fang Yuan had already sealed the Pure Dream clone's aperture, albeit with difficulty. The split soul was cultivating continuously, actively transforming to match the physical body. These two split souls might have some soul path cultivation, but it would only be at superficial level and never be to the extent of the main body's soul. Because the Tao marks of different paths would conflict and interfere with each other. I will cultivate for a bit longer, then it will be time to attack. Fang Yuan's gaze shined like blazing fire. In Heavenly Court, Fairy Ziwei was still the one in charge. In Central Great Hall, a message came that slightly eased her furrowed brows. Good, old ancestor Shui Hu has accepted Prince Feng Xian's proposal and will receive our financial help. Longevity Heaven wanted to unite the whole Northern Plains Gu immortal world and they showed great determination, thus they had big clashes with lone immortals and demonic path members. Fairy Ziwei thus made a plan and boldly sent back Prince Feng Xian to Northern Plains to persuade old ancestor Shui Hu. Old ancestor Shui Hu was not willing at first and had been firm in his stance, but under his wife's persuasion, he reluctantly agreed to collaborating with Heavenly Court. Although our current collaboration is limited, it won't be the same in the future. Fairy Ziwei smiled confidently. Looking at the entire world situation. There was important progress in Northern Plains while Heavenly Court was also stirring up trouble from behind the scenes to create conflict in Western Desert's righteous path. Central Continent was free of any particular event. Eastern sees several large forces divided ascending Heaven Plane between themselves. But in the dark, Heavenly Court was putting full efforts in searching for immortal Gu House Dragon Palace. As for Southern Border, Fairy Ziwei's smile disappeared. The situation was not optimistic in Southern Border. Southern Border's righteous path was being extorted by Fang Yuan. Fairy Ziwei was unable to stop it. At the same time, the Southern Alliance was formed. The alliance leader position was empty, but Tai Clan's beacon towers were already being constructed everywhere. Both of these situations were bad news to Heavenly Court. There is also Fang Yuan. He captured so many Southern Border Gu immortals and extorted countless immortal materials. He also has the whole of Langya Sex Refinement Path Gu immortals under him. Fairy Ziwei was paying close attention to any news regarding Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan had gone into hiding and was unable to be found. Fairy Ziwei felt a huge pressure. She would rather have Fang Yuan cause chaos everywhere and run amok. Currently, she did not even hear a trace of any rumor regarding Fang Yuan's recent situation. What is Fang Yuan doing? How much has his strength increased? When and where will he appear again? The final question did not trouble Fairy Ziwei for long. Approximately half a month later, she obtained some battle information. Fang Yuan had suddenly appeared in the River of Time and fought the 4 Xuanzi. He was not alone. He brought a ship-shaped rank 8 immortal Gu house. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1805, First Battle in the River of Time. Chapter 1805 First Battle in the River of Time. Immortal Gu House Myriad Year flying warship was moving in the River of Time. Fang Yuan was standing proudly on the bow of the ship with his hands behind his back. He wore a black robe, his hair was long and black, and he was gazing at the endless waves in the River of Time with his dark abyss-like eyes. Bai Ningbing and the rest were inside the immortal Gu house, looking at Fang Yuan who was releasing rank 7 aura. Some felt a chill in their hearts, while some realized, no wonder Fang Yuan could rampage till now. If I had rank 8 cultivation, I would have already begun ruling an area and proclaimed it to the world, but he is a wolf in sheep's clothing, not letting go of any chance to deceive the enemy. There were some who sighed, both sides have yet to clash, but Fang Yuan has already started to mislead the enemy. This is a confrontation between information and tactics. This battle has already started since myriad-year flying warship appeared in the River of Time. Fang Yuan had his own plan. If he could keep his rank 8 cultivation a secret, he would not expose it. Because once it was exposed, the secret of the sovereign immortal body would no longer be hidden. In the previous life, this secret was exposed, but in this life, this secret seemed to still be undiscovered. As for the secret of my rebirth, it will probably be exposed after this battle. Fang Yuan estimated inwardly. Let it be exposed then. Fang Yuan felt it was time for it to be known. The significance of this battle was extremely huge. Although Fang Yuan was cautious and careful all along and paid close attention to the ink effect, he would not hesitate when it was time to make a move. Advancing or retreating, attacking or defending, Fang Yuan was well versed and experienced in this. A pavilion was floating in the River of Time. It was not covered on all four sides, it was very simplistic in appearance. The cover was made of yellow grass, the pillars were gray-white rocks that were not polished. There was a folding screen in the pavilion consisting of multiple panels, it was the most elegant decoration in there. It was the rank 7 Immortal Gu House present and past pavilion. For Central Continent Time Path Gu Immortals were standing inside the pavilion, they were the 4 Xianxia. They had detected myriad-year flying warship the moment it appeared. The 4 Xianxia immediately reported this information to Fairy Ziwei without daring to delay a second. Fang Yuan has finally appeared. Yes, we did not waste our time by waiting here for so long. He is still a rank 7, but has a rank 8 Immortal Gu House. What Immortal Gu House is this? I have never heard about it. From the looks of it, it should be a Time Path Immortal Gu House, right? The 4 Xianxia did not attack immediately. As far as they were concerned, present and past pavilion was specialized in investigating within the River of Time, they were still very far away from Fang Yuan at this moment. They discovered Fang Yuan but Fang Yuan could not see them. They were only at rank 7 in the end, it was only because they cultivated Time Path that the Supreme Heavenly Court noticed them and stationed them here. Moreover, the 4 Xianxia were not Heavenly Court Gu Immortals, their next course of action would depend on Fairy Ziwei's arrangements and commands. Myriad-year flying warship carried Fang Yuan while floating slowly. Fang Yuan was looking at all directions from the bow as if he was searching for something. Looks like Fang Yuan is searching for Red Lotus True Inheritance. He did not discover us indeed. Lady Ziwei has not sent a command yet. Inside present and past pavilion, the 4 Xianxia were tightly observing Fang Yuan. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei was first happy then puzzled. She was happy that Fang Yuan had finally appeared. It was less scary when he appeared, the worst was him hiding and doing things secretly. In truth, every day that Fang Yuan did not appear would increase the mental pressure on Fairy Ziwei, wondering what evil scheme Fang Yuan was plotting. But now that Fang Yuan appeared, Fairy Ziwei finally let out a sigh of relief. Good, come. Let me see how much you have grown, I will make good use of this chance to kill you. Killing intent spread inside Fairy Ziwei. As for that rank 8 Immortal Gu House, is it your reliance and source of confidence, Fang Yuan? Fairy Ziwei also was somewhat bewildered. This rank 8 Immortal Gu House had appeared with no prior signs. According to common sense, even a super force would not be able to hide the construction of an Immortal Gu House and there would be many traces left behind. Because there were too many things to gather and prepare. The construction process of an Immortal Gu House would make quite a bit of commotion and would be discovered by others. Fang Yuan naturally was not exempted from this. But his accumulation process had happened in his previous life, so Fairy Ziwei could not sense it. How could Fang Yuan suddenly have a Time Path Immortal Gu House, and it is a rank 8 one? What abilities and powers does this ship-shaped Immortal Gu House have? Thoughts were constantly colliding in Fairy Ziwei's mind. Central Great Hall was quickly pervaded with purple qi. She rapidly deduced and soon came to a decision. She estimated this immortal Gu house had limited strength even though it was at rank 8 level. Because it had appeared too suddenly and there was no records of such a ship in the history, it was likely a hasty and experimental work of Fang Yuan. Moreover, whether it was strong or weak, Heavenly Court would still need to probe it and stop Fang Yuan from obtaining Red Lotus true inheritances. Fairy Ziwei quickly commanded Qin Yi to hurry to the location of present and past pavilion with Eternal Yacht. An accurate and clear map of the surroundings appeared in her mind. When Eternal Yacht meets up with present and past pavilion, they will pincer attack Fang Yuan from the front and back. Fairy Ziwei's gaze shone sharply. Previously, present and past pavilion was monitoring the river of time while Eternal Yacht was moving everywhere in search of Red Lotus true inheritance. Currently, Eternal Yacht was already rushing over under Fairy Ziwei's command. The 4 Xuanzi also quickly received Fairy Ziwei's command. We need to move. Based on Fang Yuan's speed and direction, he will soon escape present and past pavilion's detection range. We will attack first and delay Fang Yuan, luring him to this area. Then Eternal Yacht will sneak attack them from behind. Move out. The 4 Xuanzi controlled present and past pavilion to make the river of time send out waves. The water waves moved towards Myriad Year flying warship like countless soldiers. They finally made a move. Inside Myriad Year flying warship, a variant human Gu immortal said softly and excitedly. Fang Yuan had intentionally appeared near present and past pavilion to lure them into attacking. Lord Sect Leader is so naughty, he clearly discovered present and past pavilion already but is acting like he did not. The enemy has taken the bait. Lady White Rabbit's long eyebrows fluttered, her eyes were glistening brightly like shiny crystals, having learned another sneaky move. Fang Yuan gasped lightly, his brows slightly furrowed as he sensed the anomaly in the river. The slight changes in his expression were seen clearly by the 4 Xuanzi. Fang Yuan discovered something. He is controlling that rank 8 immortal Gu house to move towards us. Relax, we are very far away from him. So fast. Myriad Year flying warship's speed greatly shocked the 4 Xuanzi. They were still calm and leisurely at the previous moment, but right now, their expression changed, their minds and bodies shook. Myriad Year flying warship was piercing through the waves like a swordfish, charging extremely quickly towards present and past pavilion. Increase the intensity. The eldest among the 4 Xuanzi, Shang Xuanzi, shouted. Present and past pavilion let out dazzling light, tall waves that were dozens of feet high submerged Myriad Year flying warship like a tsunami. Boom! 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 Myriad Year flying warship was covered in a silver-white light. Every time the waves collided with it, its speed increased even more, charging forward like an unmatched sword. The 4 Xuanzi's expressions turned pale, their eyes showing horror. Fang Yuan's charge was too quick and too fierce, they felt extremely uneasy now. Zhong Xuanzi shouted, "Quick, use that move." The radiance around present and past pavilion turned brighter, it was like a vast light pillar that shot towards the sky. Under present and past pavilion's influence, the water around Myriad Year flying warship experienced a strange change, turning into a giant whirlpool in the blink of an eye. The whirlpool spun quickly and was barely able to immobilize Myriad Year flying warship. The 4 Xuanzi finally let out a sigh of relief. We finally immobilized it. This immortal Gu house is so fast, it crossed such a large distance in just a few breaths of time. But it is already trapped by us now. Let's probe what abilities it has. The whirlpool rotated even faster, waves changed, turning into the shape of sawteeth. Countless sawteeth moved around Myriad Year flying warship, biting and sawing at Myriad Year flying warship. Myriad Year flying warship was trapped in the center of the whirlpool, but Fang Yuan's expression was cold and uncaring. Sun Guozi revealed a frightened expression, such a sturdy immortal Gu house, the sawtooth whirlpool is actually unable to break its defensive light. Xia Xuanzi patted Sun Guozi's shoulder and comforted, "Relax, it has not even been 10 breaths of time, it will definitely crumble apart once it is bitten and sawed for a longer time." Although he said this, the 4 Xuanzi were inwardly astonished. They were deeply aware of the power that this Sawtooth Whirlpool Killer move had. This move was the strongest offensive method of present and past pavilion. Ordinary Gu immortals would be cut into pieces in a blink of an eye. Even the 4 Xianxia could not last 3 breaths of time. Even present and past pavilion would be unstable if it entered the whirlpool, and a large amount of its Gu worms would immediately die. But Myriad Year Flying Warship was completely intact and even looked like it was doing quite well. The 4 Xianxia felt a chill rising up their backs. It is a rank 8 immortal Gu house after all. Where has Eternal Yacht reached now? No, the situation is bad. Sun Guozi suddenly shouted. The other 3 Xianxia quickly looked ahead. They saw the water surrounding Myriad Year Flying Warship change rapidly. The original Sawtooth Whirlpool transformed into rapids that shone in a silver-white color. The rapids moved under Myriad Year Flying Warship and enlarged by over 10 times within a few seconds. Present and past pavilion has methods to control the river water. How could our Myriad Year Flying Warship not have them? The variant human Gu immortals laughed loudly inside the ship. Kill! Fang Yuan gave an indifferent command. Boom! Like a torrential waterfall or a flash flood, the rapids around Myriad Year Flying Warship surged and expanded as it moved forward. Myriad Year Flying Warship was pushed forward by the rapids, easily breaking past the ruined Sawtooth Whirlpool and charging towards the 4 Xianxia with surging momentum. The 4 Xianxia took in breaths of cold air. The Sawtooth Whirlpool that they had put their hopes in had only held back Myriad Year Flying Warship for less than 50 breaths of time. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1806, Z-Way at a loss. Chapter 1806, Z-Way at a loss. It is coming. Block it. Increase the power of present and past pavilion to the maximum. With chaotic thoughts, 4 Xianxia exerted present and past pavilion to its limits. The screen in the pavilion emitted dense smoke and the light pillar that shot out was almost solid. Myriad Year Flying Warship neared present and past pavilion. Ram into it. Fang Yuan sneered, standing arrogantly on the bow of the boat. But at the next moment, present and past pavilion retaliated with all its strength, sharply slowing down Myriad Year Flying Warship's charging momentum. Killer move, slow down. Fang Yuan was familiar with this move. Under his command, the silver light around Myriad Year Flying Warship suddenly concentrated. Swoosh! With a light sound, present and past pavilion's killer move was broken. Myriad Year Flying Warship's speed was restored and it collided with present and past pavilion. Present and past pavilion was not specialized in defense. Fang Yuan had destroyed it by himself back then, and now, it collided with the sturdier and faster Myriad Year Flying Warship. It shattered immediately. The pavilion roof was sent flying, the pillars crumbled, the screens were shattered, the pavilion base was reduced to fragments. The 4 Xianxia coughed out a large amount of blood and fell down into the river of time. Without the protection of present and past pavilion, the 4 Xianxia lost the ability to retaliate against Fang Yuan. In just a short while, they were all killed by Fang Yuan. They were at rank 7, and like Lu Hao, had not joined Heavenly Court, so they still had their own immortal apertures. Their immortal Gu, however, were all detonated. Fang Yuan had just collected their corpses as well as the scattered immortal Gu when Eternal Yacht arrived. Rank 8 Gu immortal Qingyi was standing on Eternal Yacht. His expression immediately changed when he saw the 4 Xianxia's corpses on the deck of Myriad Year Flying Warship. Fang Yuan, you demon, I will make you pay with your life. Fang Yuan turned around and smiled. Here comes another one seeking death. There was no exchange of words. The rapids under Myriad Year Flying Warship surged and rushed towards Eternal Yacht. Its violent and sharp movement immediately caused a disturbance among the Gu immortals in Eternal Yacht. Bursting veins bulged on Xianxia's forehead. He rubbed it but still sent out a wise command. We will avoid it. Don't fight head-on with this rank 8 immortal Gu house. The 4 Xianxia were dead, but the battle details had already been sent. Fairy Z-Wei and Qingyi knew much information about Myriad Year Flying Warship. However, would be it easy for Eternal Yacht to escape? Myriad Year Flying Warship speed rose, breaking the limits it showed before. Although this immortal Gu house was called a warship, it had the shape of a boat, it moved like a silver comet now, rapidly surfing along the river of time. Eternal Yacht had the form of a multi-storied ship, it was much larger than Myriad-Year flying warship, but it was not fast. How could it be able to dodge? Boom! With a huge sound, Eternal Yacht shook as a large hole was smashed in its front hull from which the inside could be seen clearly. Fang Yuan's Myriad-Year flying warship had directly pierced through Eternal Yacht. How is this possible? We had already activated the strongest defensive method of Eternal Yacht, but it could not block even one attack. The fact was so horrifying that Qingyi was staring with wide eyes. Lord, that damned Fang Yuan is charging over again. The Gu immortals inside Eternal Yacht shouted in fright. They had just spoken when Myriad-Year flying warship smashed into Eternal Yacht again. Eternal Yacht shook intensely, Qingyi lost his balance and staggered. His battle intent was shaking, how could he beat this? Eternal Yacht's Gu worms suffered enormous damage, the entire place would directly collapse after another few collisions. Many Gu immortals were pale with cold sweat all over their faces. Fortunately, they heard Qin Ye's command at this time, retreat. Eternal Yacht turned around and retreated decisively. Can you escape? Fang Yuan smiled coldly. Boom boom boom. Myriad-Year flying warship collided into Eternal Yacht time after time. Eternal Yacht used its killer moves to retaliate, but Fang Yuan had already prepared restraining methods. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. As long as Heavenly Court did not have any huge change, Fang Yuan would definitely be the final winner. The outcome of this battle had been decided from the start. Therefore, when Eternal Yacht was destroyed and Qingyi fell into the river of time, Fang Yuan's side was not surprised. Kill him. Without needing Fang Yuan's command, many Gu immortals inside the warship shouted simultaneously. Killing intent surged, Myriad-Year flying warship submerged into the river and rammed at Qingyi like a vicious shark. Qingyi put all his strength in activating defensive methods. But as a dark path Gu immortal, he was greatly suppressed in the river of time. Boom! Myriad-Year flying warship directly destroyed the dark shield and sent him flying. Qingyi coughed out a large amount of blood and tried to move to the surface while enduring the intense pain. The river surface was right in his sight when he made a horrifying discovery, Myriad-Year flying warship was already waiting for him. Boom! There was another huge sound, Myriad-Year flying warship directly slammed down on Qin Ye's head with its base. A large part of Qin Ye's skull caved in, the enormous force transmitted through his whole body, shattering his spine, rib bones and other parts. Gurgle gurgle. A large amount of water of the river of time entered through his mouth. The huge collision slammed him down to the depths of the river like a ball. Still not dead. Bing Yuan was stunned at Qin Ye's stubborn vitality. Then, we just have to do it again. The eyes of the Rockman tribe first supreme elder were bloodshot with killing intent. Taking advantage of the enemy when he was weakened, Myriad-Year flying warship was like a killer launching a deadly pursuit. Boom! With the third collision, Qingyi was heavily injured once again. From his right shoulder to his chest, most of his body was smashed into pulp and his organs were completely destroyed. Qingyi stared rigidly at Myriad-Year flying warship, he wanted to struggle but had no strength left. Finally, he lost his life, becoming a floating corpse. He is dead, he really died. This is a rank 8 Gu immortal. We really killed him. The variant human Gu immortals cheered in joy, even by Ning Bing, He Lu Lan and the rest were visibly moved. Fairy Miao Yin and Lady White Rabbit were also very excited. A battle merit like killing a rank 8 Gu immortal was simply too rare. Despite using many external influences, this battle merit was enough for them to boast about it their whole lives. Fang Yuan collected Qin Ye's corpse, it was a pity his soul had already dispersed. This Qin Yi is quite a fierce person, he actually destroyed his own soul at the end. But this physical body is also an excellent immortal material and it will help me research Phantom Path. Heavenly Court grasped the supreme profundities of Phantom Path. Precisely so, after the Heavenly Court members contributed their immortal aperture, they could obtain a phantom aperture and leave Heavenly Court to fight outside. Once a Heavenly Court Gu immortal died, the phantom aperture would automatically dissipate along with the Gu worms, even the Dao marks would disappear. In short, even if one won against a Heavenly Court Gu immortal, they would reap few benefits. But after annexing Xianxia Blessed Land, Xianxia Land's spirit had informed Fang Yuan that the corpses of Heavenly Court Gu immortals would retain the supreme profundity of Phantom Path. If Fang Yuan could comprehend some Phantom Path mysteries from these corpses, he might be able to decipher Heavenly Court's Phantom Path method and even have a hold on Heavenly Court. Even if he could not do anything to Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan could use this Phantom Path method on himself. With the Phantom Aperture method, Fang Yuan could control Wu Xia and the rest even more strictly. This was the best weapon to ensure loyalty. Myriad Year flying warship continued to sweep through the battlefield. Fang Yuan's side was joyous, their long training was finally paying off. In this battle, they destroyed 2 immortal Gu houses and over 10 Gu immortals. Present and past pavilion had the 4 Xianxia, while there were even more Gu immortals in Eternal Yacht. Immortal Gu houses were developed from immortal formations. They needed to be jointly controlled by many Gu immortals for them to be flexible and comprehensive. Some immortal Gu houses had extremely strict requirements on the amount of Gu immortals. There could not be one more or one less. Very few immortal Gu houses could be controlled by just one person. None of these Gu immortals managed to escape with their lives. They were all gathered, corpses put to one side and their souls suppressed. The battle ended, but Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he patrolled around the river while waiting to see if there would be reinforcements from Heavenly Court. Lady White Rabbit, Bing Yuan, Zong, and other Gu immortals discussed. They were still excited and their topic of discussion was mostly centered on the rank 8 Gu immortal Qingyi. Speaking of which, Qingyi was quite unlucky. Eternal Yacht was destroyed and he was highly restricted in the River of Time. It was quite amazing for him to be able to display 20 to 30% of his skills. This was the area with the greatest amount of time path Dao marks in the whole world. Because of this, time path methods were extremely easy to use here and their might was also amplified. But other methods like Great Thief Ghost Hand, Reverse Flow Protection Seal and so on were greatly suppressed. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei's expression was pale and her gaze was somewhat dazed. She obtained the latest battle information. Fang Yuan controlled the rank 8 immortal Gu house and destroyed both present and past pavilion and Eternal Yacht. Even Qingyi was killed. Fairy Ziwei felt a deep sense of disbelief. She was still planning on giving commands. Even if they could not kill Fang Yuan, they could drive him off. But the 2 greatest sources of battle strength that she relied on were eliminated so soon. This battle was decided way too quickly. This does not make any sense. Present and past pavilion and Eternal Yacht might only be at rank 7, but they were both outstanding among their peers. Their structure was highly ingenious and they possessed plenty of comprehensive methods. If not for this, Fairy Ziwei would not have mobilized the 2 immortal Gu houses to besiege Fang Yuan. So what was the problem? Reviewing the battle information, Fang Yuan's mysterious immortal Gu house might be at rank 8 but has limited methods. Besides controlling the water of the River of Time to speed up itself, its strongest aspect was physical toughness. Myriad Year flying warship's fighting method could be described in one word: collision. If 2 words were used, hard collision. If 3 words, sped up collision. This battle tactic was clearly extremely straightforward and simple, but why did it succeed? That was because during the fight, the methods of present and past pavilion and Eternal Yacht, especially the defensive measures, were instantly destroyed by Fang Yuan. Fairy Ziwei stood up from her seat. She was unable to keep sitting. A thin layer of cold sweat had appeared on her forehead. Looks like Fang Yuan has truly been reborn. He has an extremely deep understanding of present and past pavilion and Eternal Yacht. He also prepared the most effective methods against their killer moves. Thus, they appeared fragile and looked like they did not even have strength to retaliate. Just like Fang Yuan expected, Fairy Ziwei, who already had heavy doubts before, was now certain Fang Yuan had been reborn. What do we do? Fang Yuan has a rank 8 immortal Gu house now and can move around the river of time while my side's 3 immortal Gu houses are still in the construction process. Should I halt the construction? Since he has been reborn, he is probably familiar with these 3 immortal Gu houses. If I halt the construction and switch to other immortal Gu houses, would it be too late? Fang Yuan definitely entered the river of time to search for Red Lotus true inheritances. If he succeeds, it will be extremely bad, the consequences will be much worse than the defeat in Langya Blessed Land. At this instant, the ever-so-resourceful Fairy Z-Wei was at a loss for what to do. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1807, Public Sentiment. Chapter 1807 Public Sentiment. Fang Yuan and the rest returned to southern border following a tributary of the River of Time. Despite the immortals being in an excellent condition with high spirits, it was still necessary to rest and reorganize after the battle. The gains this time are quite good. Fang Yuan inspected the corpses. Besides rank 8 Gu immortal Qinyi, most of these Central Continent rank 7 Gu immortals were from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. They did not have the qualifications to join Heavenly Court, so they had not contributed their immortal apertures. Most of the Gu worms were destroyed, but these immortal apertures were still there. There was also 1 or 2 immortal Gu that were luckily preserved after the 2 immortal Gu houses were destroyed. In the following period of time, Fang Yuan would need to inspect these immortal apertures and see if there were any issues. If there were no issues, he would annex them. Naturally, there was a portion of immortal apertures that Fang Yuan could not annex because of inadequate attainment levels. In fact, there was a portion of such people among the southern border immortal captives. These battle spoils are only a bonus. The true value of this battle is that I have shrugged off my passive situation. I am now taking the initiative to fight Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan had grasped the timing of this battle well. If he had battled earlier, he would not have the immortal Gu House myriad year flying warship and would have to expose his rank 8 cultivation. This was undesirable. Because once his rank 8 cultivation was exposed, Heavenly Court would notice Fang Yuan had not underwent the tribulation, and as such, the secret of the sovereign immortal aperture would also be exposed. If he delayed this battle, Heavenly Court would not have just these 2 immortal Gu houses. In the previous life, Fang Yuan had encountered 4 time path immortal Gu houses. By destroying Eternal Yacht and Present and Past Pavilion, Heavenly Court fell into a very passive state. Heavenly Court was afraid Fang Yuan would obtain Red Lotus true inheritances, so they would definitely send reinforcements to the River of Time to stop Fang Yuan. After Lord Huang Shi passed, Heavenly Court lacked Time Path rank 8 experts, so they were forced to substitute with Qinyi and Time Path immortal Gu houses. Like this, it would give Fang Yuan another chance to attack. It would be just like how Fang Yuan destroyed Eternal Yacht and Present and Past Pavilion. But even if Heavenly Court knew of this, they would do their best to stop Fang Yuan no matter how big of a price they had to pay. In the previous life, Heavenly Court guarded the River of Time like a fortress. But in this life, the River of Time has already become a place Heavenly Court must salvage. It is also the best battlefield for me to weaken Heavenly Court and make them bleed. Fang Yuan was almost sure of Heavenly Court's response. Just like Heavenly Court had the strategical advantage of possessing Fate Gu, which forced the 4 regions Gu immortals to make a long campaign to attack Central Continent and Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan relied on the smokescreen that was Red Lotus true inheritance to force Heavenly Court to send reinforcements to the River of Time. It is just that my rebirth secret cannot be hidden any longer. In the Battle of Langya, Fairy Z-Wei had already been suspicious. And in this period of time, Fang Yuan captured the southern border immortals and also started a slaughter in the River of Time. If Fairy Z-Wei was still not sure that Fang Yuan had been reborn, she would not be Fairy Z-Wei. Fang Yuan would never underestimate Fairy Z-Wei, he was very familiar with her. Often, the one who understood you the most was not your friend but your enemy. Sure enough, after a few days, Fairy Z-Wei publicized in Treasure Yellow Heaven that Fang Yuan had reborn and possessed a rank 8 time path immortal Gu house. The moment this was released, news spread everywhere. Fang Yuan's influence went up a level and the whole world was in an uproar. How long has it been? Fang Yuan has already grown to be a demonic path overlord, a person who is a giant pillar of the demonic path. Fang Yuan already has that reverse flow river killer move and can reflect attacks of rank 8 Gu immortals, being in an impregnable position. Now, he has a rank 8 immortal Gu house. Isn't this too fast? It is like this immortal Gu house jumped out from the ground out of nowhere. Since he was reborn, the appearance of this immortal Gu house cannot be considered sudden. Don't forget that he annexed Xianxia blessed land which has a deep foundation. The discussions naturally involved Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court seems to be quite weak, they don't have any effective methods against Fang Yuan. The mighty Heavenly Court was defeated again and again, so they publicized Fang Yuan's details. It is not that Heavenly Court is weak, but they have no way to deal with Fang Yuan. Normally speaking, even a rank 8 demonic immortal would not be as high profile as Fang Yuan. That's right. Demonic path Gu immortals have always been alone. If they offend or provoke the righteous path, many forces would collaborate, gather information using information path, deduce their position with wisdom path, and hunt them down. It is like how the southern border immortals chased after Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan, he can actually guard against Heavenly Court's deductions. He also has fixed immortal travel to move everywhere he wants and is hard to catch. His formation path attainment is also extremely high, he can see through the ambush of formations, he even used a time path formation to ambush and capture the pursuing team of southern border. He also annexed Xianxia blessed land, his refinement path attainment level is at least at Great Grandmaster level. The discussions became much more in-depth, and the Gu immortals astonishingly discovered Fang Yuan was so versatile. He cultivated so many paths, such a horrifying talent shocked the world. I understand now, he is a monster. Many people took sharp breaths. Most Gu immortals, even rank 8s, cultivated one path primarily. Who could cultivate so many paths like Fang Yuan? Cultivating multiple paths would divide their time, energy, and resources, the Gu immortals would often accomplish nothing in the end. In fact, Fang Yuan had also thought of specializing in one path, but he could do nothing about it. Before this, he battled alone and was always pressured by his enemies. Could he do without cultivating wisdom path? Could his battle strength increase if he did not cultivate soul path? Could he capture the southern border immortals without formation path? We can't say that. Even if Fang Yuan's aptitude was worse, as long as he continuously rebirths with spring-autumn cicada, he can use the time to accumulate different foundations. Right, with spring-autumn cicada, even if he fails, he has the opportunity to rebirth countless times. The experience of failures will still accumulate, even an idiot will succeed after failing so many times. Spring-autumn cicada, it is indeed worthy of being Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital Gu, it has such an amazing power. On the list of mystical Gu, spring-autumn cicada's ranking should be raised even higher. The current ranking of such a mystical Gu is too low. Because of Fang Yuan, spring-autumn cicada's ranking should indeed be raised, but I feel we should not overestimate spring-autumn cicada. It is after all only a Gu worm, there are many methods to restrict it. To a great extent, the reason why Fang Yuan is so amazing is because he is an otherworldly demon. Indeed. The combination of an otherworldly demon and spring-autumn cicada is truly too perfect. Besides an otherworldly demon, it will be very difficult for others to change their lives greatly by using spring-autumn cicada. Fang Yuan observed the discussions and after careful consideration, he decisively spread the video of the battle in the River of Time in Treasure Yellow Heaven. He even posted a speech, Heavenly Court, my counterattack has just begun. Wait until I get Red Lotus True Inheritance in the River of Time, I will completely destroy your Fate Gu. In the previous life, you successfully restored Fate Gu, that was because the depths of your foundation surpassed my expectation. There were too few people understanding the situation in the other 4 regions, many rank 8 experts were even secretly restrained by you. There were also many Gu immortals who were living naively, not knowing the fatal threat of Fate Gu. All of you, just you wait. The moment this speech was posted, the Gu immortal world of the 5 regions fell into temporary silence. Shortly afterwards, the public sentiment erupted like a volcano and poured like a flood. Oh heavens, Fang Yuan is directly provoking Heavenly Court. How many years has it been since something like this happened? Years? Even throughout history, such cases only appeared a few times. Few people can do this, and even fewer people can pose a threat to Heavenly Court. Although Fang Yuan only has rank 7 cultivation, he can already match rank 8. He has annexed Xianxia Blessed Land and has a large number of variant human Gu immortal subordinates as well as a rank 8 immortal Gu house. The even more terrifying thing is he seems to possess precise information about Red Lotus true inheritance, if he really obtains the Demon Venerable's true inheritance. Terrifying. If this continues, Fang Yuan will become a new Demon Venerable. Sigh, the common people are innocent. Is there going to be a Demon Venerable wreaking havoc again? We cannot lightly make an enemy out of Fang Yuan. Look at this video properly. All the killer moves of Heavenly Court's 2 immortal Gu houses were broken by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had clearly experienced them in the previous life and found the countermeasures in this life. The combination of spring-autumn cicada and an otherworldly demon is too unreasonable. The discussions gradually started to contain fear. Fear towards Fang Yuan. Previously, Gu Immortal mostly felt wariness, hatred, and envy towards Fang Yuan. But now, fear began to gradually take over the other emotions. The Gu Immortals already knew Fang Yuan could not be provoked easily, but now, Fang Yuan could not be provoked even more. Even a colossal superforce like Heavenly Court, the strongest righteous path force in the 5 regions, was repeatedly wrecked by Fang Yuan and their prestige was ruthlessly stepped on. Even now, they had no way to deal with Fang Yuan. Southern border, Wu clan. Wu Yong's gaze was gloomy. Fang Yuan. Heavenly Court. Qi clan. Qi Chuyu's expression was ashen. He finally realized the possibility. The traitor has not been found. Maybe this is the information revealed in the previous life. If I did transactions with Fang Yuan in the previous life as well, doesn't that mean I am the traitor? Thinking of this, Qi Chuyu felt stunned himself. Western Desert, Tang Clan. The first Supreme Elder and second Supreme Elder were in a secret discussion. This demon Fang Yuan is becoming increasingly stronger. If his relationship with our clan is exposed, Heavenly Court will definitely eliminate us. We have already collaborated with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan is so strong now that we cannot stop this connection. We will have to be even more careful. If he truly becomes a demon venerable in the future, it will also be an excellent opportunity for our Tang clan to grow. Shi clan. Shi clan's first Supreme Elder, who was cultivating in a secret room, laughed. Interesting. Heavenly Court wants the whole world to go against Fang Yuan. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan also expressed the weakness of Heavenly Court and its hidden threat, hoping that Gu immortals of the 4 regions would jointly attack Heavenly Court. Forget about him for now. I will continue my closed cultivation. After my cultivation progresses further, let's see how the heroes of the world will act in front of my sword. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1808, Plotting, Pursuing Dao. Chapter 1808, Plotting, Pursuing Dao. Heavenly Court, Immortal Graveyard. An inexplicable change was occurring. A lump of fire appeared. It was very small at first, but after a while, the fire expanded rapidly, dyeing the sky of the immortal graveyard red. This fire illuminated the surroundings, attracting Fairy Ziwei and other Heavenly Court members' attention. Fairy Ziwei immediately rushed to the entrance of the immortal graveyard and saw that the fire had grown even brighter. There were even specks of silver light in the fire, like countless diamonds adorning a red curtain. The fire dissipated and an aged Gu immortal wearing a large crimson robe walked out from the depths of the immortal graveyard. The diamond-like lights gathered together, and inside the gentle light was an old man who slowly moved forward in a wooden wheelchair. Fairy Ziwei's eyes shone happily. She recognized these 2 elderly Gu immortals. That crimson-robed elderly man was Li Huang, a fire path great expert. And the elderly man on the wooden wheelchair was Gu Lu Ru, a time path great expert. Junior Ziwei pays respects to both seniors. Fairy Ziwei bowed as she greeted. Gu Lu Ru nodded without speaking. He was sickly pale and thin as a skeleton. He had a rough life experience and the lower half of his body was paralyzed with no cure available, thus he had a cold and detached disposition. Li Huang spoke, "We did not wake up for no reason. Heavenly Court must need our strength. How is the situation now?" Fairy Ziwei felt ashamed as she informed the two of them about the current situation. Fang Yuan. I did not think such a demon would appear in the world. Humph, throughout the ages, there has always been chaos and disorder during the coming of a great era. But this demon is too savage in his rampage. The fundamental cause is that he is the seed planted by Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Li Huang snorted coldly, his expression was of anger and dissatisfaction. Gu Lu Ru's expression was cold like ice as he said, "Fortunately, the overall situation is still in our control. When Fate Gu is restored in a few years, Heavenly Court will be in an invincible position. By then, even if Fang Yuan is stronger, he won't be able to make a huge impact." He then said to Fairy Ziwei, "You are a wisdom path Gu immortal, it is right for you to lead Heavenly Court. If you have any tasks for us old-timers, there is no need to hold back." Joy appeared on Fairy Ziwei's face. "Seniors, you have just woken up, you should first rest and recover your battle strength by equipping yourselves with Immortal Gu. We have lost control over the River of Time and are currently constructing Time Path Immortal Gu houses without regard for the costs. We also need to lay down the River Suppression Lotus Ceiling Formation in the River of Time. Seniors, it would be great if you could guard the River of Time." Gu Lu Ru and Li Huang glanced at each other, before the former nodded while the latter laughed, "So be it. Let us deal with this little demon venerable." Based on just battle strength, Li Huang was stronger than Gu Lu Ru, but Fairy Ziwei was more excited about Gu Lu Ru's appearance. This Time Path great expert had woken up at just the right time, filling up the gap of Heavenly Court in the Time Path aspect and relieving Fairy Ziwei's urgent issue. "But Fang Yuan has been reborn, does he know about the awakening of these seniors?" Fairy Ziwei frowned again when she thought of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could rebirth, it was extremely troublesome to deal with such an enemy, it would always make others doubt their decisions. Fairy Ziwei did not know that in the previous life, only Li Huang had woken up. Gu Lu Ru had woken up in the final period when Longevity Heaven attacked Heavenly Court. At that time, Gu Lu Ru fought He Fan to a deadlock, he was finally killed by Lu Lu Lu's sneak attack. Fang Yuan had made an early attack, destroying Eternal Yacht and Present and Past Pavilion, also killing Qinyi. The ink effect caused Gu Lu Ru to awaken in advance. This rank 8 grade expert would definitely be a huge obstruction to Fang Yuan in an environment like the River of Time. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Central Continent. Fang Yuan's divine sense covered this marsh. There was highly fertile silt here. There was also a clear knee-deep river above the layer of silt. This was the resource point Fang Yuan had just constructed. The marsh was vast and boundless. A bud of the desolate plant extreme marsh flower, as big as a house, could be seen every few kilometers. When the extreme marsh flower bloomed, it looked like a trumpet with its petals connected. They were primarily white with a few parts bearing slight hints of pink. Strands of white mist started rising slowly from the pistils of the extreme marsh flowers. Extreme marsh flower mist was the food of Regret Gu. Feeding Regret Gu was slightly troublesome as its food was hard to store. The extreme marsh flower mist needed to be fresh, so the best method was to construct a corresponding resource point in the immortal aperture. In the previous life, Fang Yuan had constructed this marsh, but that was after obtaining Regret Gu. In this life, he was extremely wealthy, so he constructed it in advance. Although he had not obtained Regret Gu yet, it was a preparation for the future. When he obtained Regret Gu, there would be no need to worry about its food. Fang Yuan solved the food issue of even Regret Gu, which he had yet to obtain in advance. He was already able to self-sufficiently provide food for all his immortal Gu. Not long ago, Fang Yuan had even created a resource point for the rank 8 immortal Gu edition that he plundered from Ba Shirba. He marked a special sea area in Mini Eastern Sea, in which he introduced another whole new group of water spiders to produce sufficient food for the rank 8 immortal Gu edition. Naturally, these water spiders were extorted from Southern Border's righteous path. Fang Yuan had already annexed most of the immortal apertures of the southern border captives and had even searched their souls until there was nothing left, but southern border's righteous path did not know this and accepted Fang Yuan's extortion obediently. It was like how Heavenly Court did not know the true inheritance left by Red Lotus Demon Venerable to Fang Yuan did not have the direct method to destroy Fate Gu, but they still feared for the worst and used all their strength to redeem the situation in the River of Time. There was a famous phrase on Earth about the art of war: the highest form of generalship is to cut down the enemy's plans, the next best is to cut them off from allies, the next in order is to cut down the enemy's army in the field, and the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. These were wise words. When people were young, they only cared about fighting. But after growing up, they would gradually realize, fighting was only a third-rate method to reach one's target and get benefits. There was high risk in an intense battle and the benefits are also not fixed, often, there would be damage to both sides. This method could only be used when there was no other choice. Fang Yuan leaned towards planning and plotting when he did things. He was not a brute, but when there was a necessity to fight, he would pick up his blade with no fear or cowardice. Naturally, there was a fundamental difference between the Gu Master world and Earth. Through cultivation, an individual's strength could surpass the collective force of a group or organization. Therefore, a person like Spectral Soul Demon Venerable could exist. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable only used one method: kill. 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 Slaughter everything, destroy heaven, decimate earth. Heads roll and blood flow. He did not counter the enemy's plans nor did he cut them off from allies, but he still obtained supreme success. Why? Because he cultivated his own Tao. This was his understanding of heaven and earth, it was his understanding towards himself. Every person he killed would further increase his perseverance towards improving himself and deepen his understanding of heaven and earth. Both of these fueled the growth of his soul path attainment level. And the growth in his attainment level greatly increased his strength. If this was earth and someone did this, they would be seeking death. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, he was already more than 100 years old when he suddenly comprehended this principle. From then on, he started to think, what was his Tao? Or rather, what kind of path could he create? Even now, he did not have a perfect answer to this question. Over 400 years had passed since then, he had reborn several times and was still trying to find out the answer. He only had a vague and blurry direction. He moved and rolled about in the darkness. And in this darkness, there were too many hardships, dangers and ferocious beasts that wanted to swallow him whole. Fang Yuan was clear, among these ferocious beasts, Heavenly Court was currently the biggest and the strongest one. He needed to exert all his strength to have a chance of contending with this ferocious beast, escaping from its hunt, and to continue walking on his path. Both Fang Yuan and Fairy Ziwei had repeatedly exposed information about each other, hoping to borrow the strength of other Gu immortals to deal with the other. There was no winner in this fight. It was like the fight between a lion and a tiger, the bloody smell attracting countless hyenas. He seemed to have an impressive reputation, but there were turbulent undercurrents surging in the dark, many people thinking of ways to deal with him and spring-autumn cicada. No one liked the presence of such a threat. Spring-autumn cicada was not all-powerful, it was only a rank 7 Gu and there were too many ways to restrain it. Even Langya Blessed Land had many methods to subdue spring-autumn cicada. In truth, Fang Yuan was rather surprised at Heavenly Court not having any effective methods against spring-autumn cicada. The little demon venerable title seemed to show unlimited prospects, but it concealed deep killing intent. This was reminding the world that if Fang Yuan was not killed and he grew up to be a demon venerable, the future would be bleak for everyone. Fang Yuan might have obtained victory in the River of Time and gotten hold of the initiative. But he was clear that this was only a small strategical victory and it could not put a dent on Heavenly Court's overall strategy. Just like the game of chess, he only made a single good move, and although he turned from passive to active, which was worth celebrating, Heavenly Court still had the overall control of the game. And this Heavenly Court, that had countless years of accumulation, was the chess piece that was placed by primordial origin immortal venerable over 3 million years ago. With Heavenly Court's foundation, the ink effect should appear again and some powerful characters might awaken in the immortal graveyard. The most important thing is still to use every second and do everything I can to increase my strength. Fang Yuan did not become prideful due to victory, his joy lasted a very short moment before he dived into cultivating once again. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was making full use of every second. Soul cultivation progressed smoothly. Fang Yuan's soul stably progressed from 1 desolate soul to 3 desolate soul, 5 desolate soul, 8 desolate soul, and finally, broke through to 10 desolate soul. 5 restriction profound light chi was already practiced to the point of proficiency. Fang Yuan even modified it, although this modification was rather small, it allowed Fang Yuan to alter the method and suit his habits so that he would have ease when activating it. Fang Yuan began to practice other killer moves, like Ba Shi Ba's consecutive hit method. In this period of time, he went out frequently and used Jade Flow Pearl to make early moves, obtaining many resources from newly formed earth trenches. Among them, rank 7 Earth Vein Immortal Gu was one significant harvest. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1809, Seeing Heavenly Cour. Chapter 1809 Seeing Heavenly Cour. This Earth Vein Immortal Gu looked like an earthworm, but when it was held, it was quite heavy and did not give a slippery or cold feeling, instead it was warm and gentle. It was exquisite and translucent like brown amber. With this rank 7 Earth Path Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan could construct the 5 regional limit formation. Regarding the 5 regional limit formations modification, Fang Yuan's time path clone had smoothly completed it. There was the support of the light of wisdom as well as Fang Yuan's formation path and rule path foundation being deep enough. The new 5 regional limit formation added Earth Vein Immortal Gu as well as Formation Spirit and Formation Flag. With the Formation Spirit, Fang Yuan would have a powerful assistant to help him control the whole formation and notice any signs of disturbance. With Formation Flag, Fang Yuan could move the whole formation directly from his immortal aperture to the outside or move back the formation from the outside 5 regions to his immortal aperture. The immemorial year beast fishing formation was activated all the time and the progress was stable. The year essence pool already had over 20 immemorial year beasts with as many as 7 species. Over half the species were gathered, but Fang Yuan was unsure if all the species could be gathered, this depended on luck. To strengthen his luck, Fang Yuan commanded Hairy Man Gu Immortals to begin refining Luck Path Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan had an enormous amount of Immortal Gu, already passing 100, but he did not have many Luck Path Immortal Gu. Since he had the Luck Path True Inheritance, once Luck Path Immortal Gu were refined, he could immediately put the inherited methods to use. Moreover, Heavenly Court's foundation in Luck Path was shallow. Thus, the effect of raising his strength in terms of Luck Path would show obvious yield. As for Luck Path Immortal materials, although they were rare and hard to gather, Fang Yuan had the southern border righteous path to extort materials from. The moment these Luck Path Immortal materials were gathered, Fang Yuan made the Hairy Man Gu Immortals start the Gu refinement. Because they were not advancing the ranks of the Immortal Gu and were only refining rank 6 Luck Path Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan could bear the losses even if the refinement failed. He had enough foundation currently and was extremely wealthy, an enormous difference compared to his previous life at the same time period. As for the practice of immortal killer moves, 5 restriction profound light chi could be put aside now. Although he did not practice time cutting edge, Fang Yuan had gained many new insights. He had a clearer understanding of the true essence of this move now. This move was like an eraser, it could use time path power to erase the enemy but also consume the user at the same time. The flaw of memory erasing by this move could not be removed. This was determined by the structure of time cutting edge. Once this flaw was removed, the whole killer moves framework would be overturned. If that happened, time cutting edge's extremely powerful offensive characteristic would also disappear completely. Fang Yuan had no choice but to accept this flaw. The main body made a lot of progress, his clone's progress was even bigger. The pure dream clone's soul was gradually transforming and matching the body. Fang Yuan's Dragonman clone had already advanced to become a rank 6 Dragonman Gu immortal and possessed a high-grade blessed land. Fang Yuan began to spare more time towards exploring dream realms. Over this period of time, he and Qi Chu Yu had carried out many transactions, and there were already a lot of dream realms in his immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's soul left the body and entered a Qi Path dream realm. His vision changed, and at the next moment, he was standing on top of a hill. Fog filled his sight and chilling wind blew around him. He looked at himself, he was a rank 6 Gu immortal and was in a miserable state. His body was filled with injuries with some wounds still bleeding. What is this? Just as Fang Yuan was pondering, there was a rustle of wind behind him, the fog dissipated and 3 Inkman Gu immortals appeared. Wei Yushu, where do you think you're going? Die. 3 killer moves slashed towards Fang Yuan. This change was too sudden. Fang Yuan had yet to familiarize himself with his Gu worms when he already fell into a life and death situation. Boom! At the next moment, his body exploded into pieces, dying miserably. Fang Yuan exited the dream realm and returned to reality. I did not expect I would encounter such an obstacle immediately after entering the dream realm, and even dying. He inspected the injuries on his soul. What was beyond his expectation was that there were only light injuries on his soul, which could be healed with 100 guts Gu. Looks like after my soul advanced to Desolate Soul, the soul's quality changed and can bear stronger backlash from dream realms. Fang Yuan rested for a while before continuing to explore the dream realm. It was the same dream. Fang Yuan immediately inspected his Gu worms. He only had one immortal Gu. It had the shape of a cockroach and was gray-white, like the texture of a stone, but was quite light. It gave a cold and slightly rough feeling to the touch. Fang Yuan quickly found the details of this Gu in his memories. This is Qi Flow Gu. A rank 6 Qi Flow immortal Gu. Besides this, there were a large number of rank 5 Qi Path mortal Gu. There were also 3 immortal materials, Black Iron Qi, Orchid Vitality Qi, and Moving Dragon Qi. Fang Yuan was slightly stunned. Qi Flow Gu only has support characteristics. How can I block the pursuing troops with just these mortal Gu? Just as he was thinking, a loud shout sounded from behind him. Wei Yushu, where do you think you're going? Die. Bam. Fang Yuan was once again cut into pieces. Returning to reality, Fang Yuan pondered while treating his injuries. Based on the current situation, it is obvious that I need to activate immortal killer moves to be able to resist the 3 pursuing troops. Qi Path Immortal Killer Move Huh. Fang Yuan's Qi Path attainment level was low, but he had plenty of resources. Even without Thieving Heaven's True Inheritance and Giant Sun's True Inheritance, Shadow Sect's True Inheritance contained many inheritances and had records of a lot of Qi Path killer moves. Xianxia sect also had many in its collection. Even if he did not have these, just based on the enormous number of Qi Path Immortal Gu recipes in Xianxia sect and his refinement path attainment level, Fang Yuan could refine immortal killer moves. On top of this rich theoretical foundation, Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom and soon thought of a killer move that could resolve the first obstacle of the dream realm. However, he was a stranger to Qi Path killer moves. Therefore, he began to practice them. Naturally, he did not have Qi Flow Immortal Gu, but he could more or less imitate its moves and practice them. When he returned to the dream realm, Fang Yuan finally had confidence. After trying several times, Fang Yuan activated the killer move successfully. His whole body was covered in a pitch-black armor. The pursuing 3 Gu immortals could no longer kill him instantly. Wei Yushu, you dare to retaliate. A mere slave has such guts. You offended your master, you deserve to die. Kill him, mash him into pulp. The 3 Inkman Gu immortals shouted as they surrounded and attacked Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was able to resist for a while before he was killed by the three. Coming out of the dream realm, Fang Yuan summarized his experience. Looks like I need to prioritize escape instead of fighting them. In the next attempt, he did not use the previous moves but instead changed to a movement immortal killer move. He failed once but succeeded in the next attempt. This success brought Fang Yuan to the second stage of the dream realm. Guh. Before he had time to size up his surroundings, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. I am heavily injured and the immortal materials have been expended greatly. Fang Yuan's mind sank slightly. Although he had only Qi Flow Immortal Gu, he could use this Immortal Gu as the core and use the three immortal materials as supplementary to activate immortal killer moves. Black Iron Qi could transform into a dark full body armor. Orchid Vitality Qi could heal him. Moving Dragon Qi was used for movement. In the first stage of the dream realm, Fang Yuan had escaped the pursuit of the three Gu immortals by using Moving Dragon Qi. Currently, Fang Yuan had entered the second stage and immediately discovered that Moving Dragon Qi was expended by over half, Iron Qi was expended by half, while Orchid Vitality Qi was intact with no expenditure. This situation is not good, let's heal first. Fang Yuan silently prepared and activated an immortal killer move, Orchid Breath. As immortal essence was transferred to activate the killer move, Orchid Vitality Qi was instantly expended by a small portion. Fang Yuan gulped and his cheeks suddenly puffed up, he opened his mouth and breathed out. The smell of his breath was fragrant and full of vitality, it was like a dense light green fog that quickly covered his whole body. When the fog disappeared after a while, Fang Yuan's injuries were mostly recovered. Where should I go now? Fang Yuan felt troubled. Currently, he was in a cave which looked like it might be in a mountain or underground. The cave was long and had many paths that extended in all directions. Fang Yuan had just walked a few steps when he saw an Inkman Gu immortal coming from the front. This Inkman Gu immortal saw Fang Yuan and was dazed at first before shouting in joy, Wei Yu Shu. So you were here. Ha ha ha, this is great, you actually ran into me, this merit is mine. The saying is not wrong, arriving at the right time is better than arriving early. Fang Yuan was also surprised, this Inkman Gu immortal was not one of the three Gu immortals in the first stage. He was someone new. More importantly, he was not a rank 6, but a rank 7 variant human Gu immortal. The rank 7 Inkman Gu immortal pounced towards Fang Yuan. How could Fang Yuan be his opponent? All his bones were broken as he fell limply on the ground. The Inkman Gu immortal sneered while looking down at Fang Yuan, Wei Yu Shu, weren't you so wild? You never expected to fall in my hands, right? Ha ha ha, to tell the truth, even I had not expected this. You lived so extravagantly and were doted on by the princess, but you were actually stupid enough to run away, you really brought it upon yourself. At the next moment, Fang Yuan's soul returned to reality with injuries. This means even if I am captured and am not killed, it is considered a failure. Looks like this dream realm is an escape dream realm. In that situation, there is indeed no way to contend against a rank 7 Gu immortal. Again. Fang Yuan entered the second stage of the dream realm. He tried many times and failed repeatedly. He discovered there were many Inkman Gu immortals chasing after him, 5 rank 6 Gu immortals and 3 rank 7s. They were all Inkman Gu immortals. Adding on the information revealed by that rank 7 Gu immortal, Fang Yuan had a rough guess about the time period of the dream realm. It was not the remote antiquity era but olden antiquity era. Variant humans were still powerful. There were many Gu immortals chasing him and they all had plentiful methods. Fang Yuan failed again and again but he was not discouraged, and soon, he found an opportunity to escape. Inside this mountain cave tunnel, there were several Qi Path immortal materials. One of them, Autumn Scale Concealment Qi, was the biggest help to him. Finally, Fang Yuan used the experience from his failed attempts and collected the immortal materials to activate a killer move. He smoothly passed the second stage. At the third stage, Fang Yuan discovered to his surprise that the dream realm progressed automatically and he could not interfere at all. He was collapsed on the ground. In front of him was a beautiful female Inkman immortal. Her body was overflowing with rank 8 aura, and her gaze towards Fang Yuan contained anger, hatred, as well as love and pity. Wei Yushu, when I bought you back then, you were only a kid who did not even know about cultivation. I taught you step by step and raised you into a Gu immortal. Was it my protection and indulgence that allowed you to have such guts? Tell me, why did you betray me? Have I, Princess Yitong, mistreated you? You lived in luxury and peace, you only needed to serve me, and I have never treated you cruelly. The rank 8 female Inkman immortal asked sharply. Wei Yushu smiled sadly, but, even if I lived a much better life, I was still only your slave. The female Inkman immortal was furious. What is bad about becoming my slave? Many Inkmen want to live your life but don't get such a chance. Wei Yushu was dazed for a moment before he spoke slowly. I did not think it was bad before, but when I heard there was a heavenly court in this world where humans live. So, you want to run to heavenly court? The female Inkman immortal sneered. You are too naive, you actually believe in the temptation of these devils. Wei Yushu closed his eyes, his voice was hoarse. It is not that I believe it, but I want to believe it. The female Inkman immortal's gaze turned slightly dazed and her anger slowly dissipated. She recalled the beautiful memories of the past, how she had spoiled this foreign race's slave, but those days would never return. She said regretfully, Yushu, I have pardoned your mistakes many times, but I cannot do it this time. If I pardon you anymore, it will damage the dignity of my race. If I had not personally come out, you would have actually escaped. My effort in raising you was not in vain after all. The truth is, this place is very close to the sphere of influence under Heavenly Court. These words seemed to have injected a gust of strength in Wei Yushu. He suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the female Inkman immortal. He begged, I don't have any wish before my death, but I only have one thought, please let me climb out of this cave and take one glance at Heavenly Court. The female Inkman immortal was silent for a while before sighing, all right. She moved to the side. Wei Yushu used his bloodied hands to slowly crawl out with all his strength. He was breathing roughly, his sweat and blood mixed together. It was a short distance, but he had to spend a good while to move to the cave entrance. This cave entrance was located at the middle part of the mountain. It could see far and wide. He looked ahead with hope. However, he only saw dense mist. It is really unfortunate, but mist is a common occurrence around mountains. The female Inkman immortal walked from behind, but even if there was no mist, you won't see Heavenly Court. I said this is only a place near the sphere of influence under Heavenly Court. But it is only a barren land. Wei Yushu, however, seemed to have obtained utmost satisfaction. He lied on the ground powerlessly with no strength left to raise his head again. But his eyes shone brightly. No, I saw it, I saw Heavenly Court. You. The female Inkman immortal was visibly moved. The moment he finished saying this, Wei Yushu's last breath was used up, he died. The female Inkman immortal fell into silence. She stared ahead at the direction of Heavenly Court in silence. Her expression carried an unprecedented solemnness. Heavenly Court. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1810, Extorting Dream Realms. Chapter 1810, Extorting Dream Realms. Fang Yuan was an audience throughout the whole third stage of the Chi Path Dream Realm. When this third stage was complete, the whole Chi Path Dream Realm also disappeared. Fang Yuan's exploration was completed. This dream realm was difficult at the beginning and easy at the end. I had to accumulate experience by going through so many failures in the first two stages. Even Unravel Dream was not too useful. But at the last stage, I directly passed it without having to do anything. This was the most comfortable experience for Fang Yuan, being an audience. If he could observe every dream realm like this, how wonderful would it be? This dream realm's time period was not the remote antiquity era but olden antiquity era. Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan's gaze was slightly complicated. Even though he was Heavenly Court's archenemy, he had to admit the greatness of Heavenly Court. But shortly afterwards, only a chilly light remained in his eyes. No matter how great they are, as long as they block my path, I can only use all my strength to destroy them. With the successful exploration of this dream realm, Fang Yuan advanced to Chi Path Grandmaster. The progress was quite big since Fang Yuan had no attainment in Chi Path previously. No wonder that Wei Yu Shu could receive constant special treatment from the Inkman Princess. One of the main reasons must be his talent in Chi Path. Fang Yuan's biggest realization from this exploration was not related to the dream realm or heavenly court, but his soul. Desolate soul. After forming a desolate soul, exploring dream realms became much easier. If it was a human soul, the injuries from this exploration would definitely be much heavier. Although Daoist Gu could heal the injuries, it was bound to affect the efficiency of the exploration. Fang Yuan had a flash of inspiration. Perhaps when I use pure dream reality seeker physique body to explore dream realms, the injuries on the soul will be even lighter than now. Just like how Fang Yuan cultivated inside Luo Pa Valley using Luo Pa Wind. Once Fang Yuan's soul was inside a physical body, the power of Luo Pa Wind would fall sharply. If Fang Yuan used a pure dream reality seeker physique body to carry his soul to explore dream realms, his soul should be tightly protected by the physical body. A normal body could not block the power of dream realms. But the pure dream reality seeker physique body was different. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan did not know the way to enter dreams with the pure dream reality seeker physique body. If he directly sent the pure dream reality seeker physique body into a dream realm, it would move freely inside without any disturbance from the dream realm. But at the same time, it was unable to immerse in the dream, let alone explore the dream realm. Next, let's explore this ice and snow path dream realm. Fang Yuan moved his gaze. Fang Yuan had already stored many dream realms inside the sovereign immortal aperture. The Chi Path dream realm just now was the biggest and it was gone now. This ice and snow path dream realm took the place as the biggest dream realm. Besides this dream realm, there were also dream realms of Chi Path, Sword Path, Wood Path, and so on. I have desolate soul, my efficiency in exploring dream realms is greatly increased. I felt these dream realms were enough before, but it looks somewhat insufficient now. Moreover, the dream realms are of different types. This is a petty act by Chi Chuyu. Fang Yuan knew clearly. Although Chi Chuyu continued to transact with Fang Yuan, he could secretly control the formation, and because he had obtained many dream path research results, he could distinguish the types of dream realm roughly. So, when he transacted with Fang Yuan, he was controlling the goods, giving Fang Yuan scattered dream realms of different paths. There was not even one human path dream realm that Fang Yuan truly wanted. There were also not many dream realms of Chi Path or Ice and Snow Path. Yet these dream realms were all useful to Fang Yuan. Or even Time Path dream realms or Refinement Path dream realms, as long as they were not dream realms which he had already explored before in the previous life. After all, Fang Yuan's highest attainment level was at Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster, there was still space to advance. Fang Yuan did not refuse any of these dream realms, as these dream realms could increase his attainment levels. Moreover, there was no disadvantage in increasing the attainment levels of all his paths. It was even a good thing, as he would not need to worry about this when annexing immortal apertures of related paths in the future. While Fang Yuan was exploring dream realms, the hairy man Gu immortals had succeeded in their Gu refinement. Lord Fang Yuan, we have refined this immortal Gu. Sixth hair handed over an immortal Gu. This immortal Gu resembled a water droplet that flickered with dazzling lights like a blue diamond. It was smooth and cold when touched. This was rank 6 Time Anchor Immortal Gu. Although Fang Yuan prioritized refining Luck Path Immortal Gu, Time Anchor Immortal Gu was also on the list of Gu to be refined. The number of Immortal Gu Fang Yuan possessed surpassed 100, but he had enough resources and wealth to raise them, so the more Immortal Gu he had, the better. He had come in touch with Time Anchor Immortal Gu long ago. It was once the Immortal Gu of Eastern Sea Immortal Zombie Subai Man. It could anchor onto a certain period in time. Su Bai Man died and Time Anchor Immortal Gu was acquired by Shadow Sect, but was destroyed in the Battle of Tian Mountain. Now, Fang Yuan had ordered Hairy Man Gu Immortals to refine it. Time Anchor Immortal Gu could coordinate with Spring Autumn Cicada to form a killer move that could let Fang Yuan rebirth to a specific period of time. This killer move was very valuable. For instance, Fang Yuan could mark this current time and continue to explore dream realms without regard for anything else. At a certain stage, he could use this killer move to return to this time again and continue exploring other dream realms. His attainment levels in the paths would remain. Fang Yuan could use this move to continuously increase his attainment levels. Unfortunately, I cannot use Spring-Autumn Success if I use this killer move. Without a 100% success rate, there will be a chance of failure, and if I bump into it, it will be akin to suicide. I will end up as the biggest joke. Fang Yuan's time path attainment level might be a quasi-supreme grandmaster and he had the light of wisdom, but the problem here did not originate from himself. If I am not wrong, since Fate Gu is injured and not destroyed, it can restrict the effectiveness of the killer move made by merging Time Anchor Immortal Gu into Spring-Autumn Success. Using Spring-Autumn Cicada to rebirth was using a loophole of this world. This would disrupt events and change the past, influencing the balance of the world. Heavens would not allow such a thing to happen. For the current Fang Yuan, just using Time Anchor with Spring-Autumn Cicada was just enough to use this loophole. Spring-Autumn Success could also make use of this loophole. But the hole was too small for him to use the both together. Looks like only when Fate Gu is completely destroyed can Time Anchor effectively merge with Spring-Autumn Success. The killer moves in Red Lotus True Inheritance were similar. Even if the killer moves could link to form an even greater might, it did not show a good result when put into practice. The Dragon Man clone had already passed one heavenly tribulation and a dozen earthly calamities. His cultivation was rising sharply. To quicken Dragon Man clone's cultivation, Fang Yuan used Time Path Killer move to hasten the rate of time of the Dragon Man clone's immortal aperture to the limit. Before each calamity and tribulation, Fang Yuan would deduce the details, thus being well prepared for it. Because of Fang Yuan's powerful strength, these calamities and tribulations possessed no threat and were like firework ceremonies that increased the Tao marks of Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone. Fang Yuan had time path methods, and more importantly, he had exposing heavenly secret which made the calamities and tribulations sent by heavens will ineffective. With the help of his robust strength, these calamities and tribulations were impotent. At present, Fang Yuan could not only increase a Gu master's cultivation level, he could even rapidly increase the cultivation level of a Gu immortal. But this method could not be advocated, because the cost was quite high. The Time Path Killer move to accelerate the immortal aperture's time flow was a rank 8 killer move and expended a large amount of rank 8 immortal essence. Exposing heavenly secret was also not a killer move that could be activated by ordinary wisdom path Gu immortals. Adding on the expenses to undergo each tribulation, it only could produce at most a rank 7 Dragon Man clone. The investment was not proportional to the yield. If not for Dragon Palace, Fang Yuan would be reluctant to develop the Dragon Man clone like this. Southern Border's beacon towers were constructed everywhere. And Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals began to protest, asking for Fang Yuan to first release some captives to show his sincerity. Thereupon, Fang Yuan released Yi Yang. Yi clan was dumbstruck after obtaining Yi Yang. Because Fang Yuan had only released Yi Yang's body, his soul and immortal aperture were absent. Just a body was the same as a corpse, what use could it have? Southern Border's righteous path were furious but were helpless against Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan persuaded them, the body is only the first step. It shows my sincerity, it is your turn to show sincerity now. Southern Border's righteous path felt that the future was bleak. If Fang Yuan were to disassemble the captives and extort them, how much could he extort and how long would this extortion last? Thereupon, they began to make a din. Fang Yuan's attitude changed to become tough and indifferent, directly threatening every clan. If you want me to release the captives, I will release them to your enemies. Moreover, I will humiliate your clan's Gu immortals through indescribable ways and make sure he or she would never be able to raise their head in the future. Fang Yuan had done this in the previous life, he was even more at ease and familiar with this process this time. Southern Border's righteous path shamefully gave in. They could do nothing, especially Ba clan and Xia clan. These pitiful clans had their first supreme elders captured by Fang Yuan. The other clans had also lost important battle strengths of theirs. If they did not save the captives, they would lose the support of their people. Fang Yuan then demanded Southern Border's righteous path to use Dream Realms as the chips to exchange for the captives. Southern Border's righteous path was not willing at first since Dream Realms represented the future. But Fang Yuan guaranteed, "I am not asking for a lot and won't empty this place, I will even leave behind most of them for Southern Border's righteous path." To show even more sincerity, he was willing to release the body of a Gu immortal captive for every Dream Realm exchange. The Southern Border righteous path forces were helpless and could only accept this proposal. Qi Chuyu felt a chill inside. He knew this was Fang Yuan's retaliation and also a warning. Thereupon, the extortion of Southern Border's righteous path entered the next stage. Fang Yuan did not go back on his promise. He released a captive's body every time he obtained a batch of Dream Realms. These Dream Realms were much larger than the ones he secretly transacted with Qi Chuyu. Moreover, Fang Yuan had carefully chosen their paths as well. Fairy Ziwei was extremely worried and tried many ways to ruin these transactions, but none of them succeeded. It is time for another battle. Fang Yuan calculated the time and rode myriad-year flying warship into the River of Time. He took the initiative to start the second battle in the River of Time, but he did not know that this time, the Time Path Great Expert, Gulu Ru, was waiting for him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.